It is last week's, thank you very much.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, dear, 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 dear. It's been a long day.
It's a good thing I have the truck. Yeah. Yeah, you go right on the Basin Way.
I hope so.
When you come up, whatever you do, don't go to the left of the building.
I don't think I would try.
Just runs into a legal
Is that for
run,
the,
here
is that
before
for the
it.
Primrose deal?
Oh, it's, yeah,
I guess the applicant lives in Lake George or some shit, I don't know.
But the guys from Spirit were laughing at me. Yeah, you go, I said, how bad is the pressure? No, you got a truck. Yeah, I got a truck. You can make it.
Good to know when he comes.
Yes.
Did you have a dog?
I didn't have the dog with me today, no.
All right, 7 o'clock, meeting come to order. Please. Okay, you could read the minutes from last time.
Should the minutes include, that we signed off on the farm on Beach Street? We discussed it.
We already approved that in a prior meeting.
Mr. Chair,
We signed it at this meeting.
Okay.
Never mind, it's okay.
may I suggest on the Rockland Elementary School, the last sentence, of the applicant also requested field change that was reviewed. The field change that involved a change in location of culverted stream will not have an impact.
Okay.
Add that, just a description, that's correct, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That involved a change
I
in
think that
location
says
of
it, doesn't
culverted
it?
stream. You're right.
This field change would not have an impact on it. I think that Marty was just adding, wanting to add the word the culvert.
Yeah.
Oh, culvert, okay.
We recommended that they do field change. Didn't need an amended order.
And the other thing it doesn't mention is that we pushed aside the minutes from October 12th to be amended according to the meeting notes that we all passed in, so we don't have them in our packets, in our files. Remember? Because Evelyn wasn't here.
Not this table.
Yep.
Oh.
That's all.
I'm not exactly sure I passed that along. Yeah.
She requested it, and we did it. Long distance.
Did I give you the group of the notes from last time?
Yeah.
So I did my part.
Okay.
Change that involved.
Virginia, you wanna add in that we signed off on the,
we
McDuffie
Change
Farm?
in the location of.
If she's done with this one, we'll add that in.
What was that?
But if she's done with this one, we'll add that one in. Add in that we signed off on the, Buck Coffee Farm. Which is this. Beach Street. Okay, other than that, does anybody else have any other amendments, changes? Grammatical errors.
Do you want those?
You good? Motion
Motion to accept the meetings as
With-
set.
with the amendments,
Second.
all in favor? Alright. Need to pass those. Okay. Shingle Mill Development on Pond Street is continued until the January 11th meeting. 327/333 Weymouth Street is continued to the January 11th meeting. And we'll start this meeting with 365 Concord Street, Concord Meadows. Hearing's already open. Last time. I believe you have a new plan to present to us.
Yeah, look,
New design anyway, or something along those lines. For anybody in the audience who can't see, you're welcome to gather around.
so, for the record, Brendan Sullivan with Kevin Consulting, here representing the owner applicant, as well as the wetland scientist and attorney Walter Sullivan. So, since our last meeting, the John Zimmer, the wetland scientist, has met with Beta group on the site and has agreed upon the potential vernal pool line. So from that, we took that 125-foot buffer off of that and redesigned basically the entire subdivision, except for the beginning piece is more or less the same, but it's really the rest of the subdivision which has been redesigned in both alignment, grade, and the lots as well. So this plan is which I included in the set, which was a request from the last meeting we had a couple months ago, which is the overall plan, which I added to the set, and it gives you the overall acreage, the acreage of the open space, the wetlands, the upland wetlands, which does not include the riverfront areas, because I believe the board wanted to see this about how it complies with the PUD open space plan. So as I said, the subdivision, if you remember from before, we had a detention pond behind lots basically 1, 2, and 3 that has been removed. The road's been shifted to the east, or to the left, let's say, to give us more yard space behind these dwellings back here and push the grading in the yard outside of the 25-foot buffer that's associated with the intermittent stream over here. Some driveways have been combined to include common driveways, some of these back lots, to once again reduce impervious and reduce the overall pavement area for the subdivision. So now we're down to the two detention ponds which we had before, the one up by the entrance, the other one behind lot 18 and 19, and spills over onto the lot 20 as well. So there's 2 infiltration ponds, both with the same discharge points to match to reduce flows, peak rates, and volume of runoff. The overall site reduces the impervious, which is mostly pavement, by about 1,000 square feet with this new design. And we did just get the review letter this afternoon from the review group, where we're going over those comments.
You wanna just give the board a brief summary of the numbers of the open space and stuff like that you put on the plan? I believe there are any for that.
So we have the total area of the project is approximately 21.3 acres. The developed lots is approximately 6.5 acres, 6.49 acres. The open space, including wetlands, is about 13.74 acres. And the right-of-way itself is 1.03 acres, just over an acre. So the open space wetland, which includes the riverfront, is about 7.88 acres. So the minimum required open space is 35% of the total lot area, or 7.4 acres. And open space provided is 13.74 acres. And of that 13.74, 70% is required to be upland, and which is 5.21 acres, and we're providing 5.86 acres.
Very good.
That satisfying, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, Marty. Your turn.
Well, as you mentioned, they just got our comments today, probably just had a chance to read through them. Just really high level, they addressed a lot of our administrative comments. You know, he discussed that they delineated the bylaw vernal pool, which we met in the field, and agreed with the delineation. And so at this point, I mean, other than we have several other comments that are not quite complete yet, but we feel that they can work through those between now and the next meeting. But I think the biggest comment is the request for waiver for the 25-foot no disturb. They need to submit to the commission, and with that, they'll need to provide, you know, their alternatives analysis, why they have no alternatives to working in that 25-foot no disturb, and then also what the public benefit will be for the commission to consider a waiver of your 25-foot no disturb. So I think that's really probably the biggest. And then Gary had some stormwater comments that remain to work through between now and closing of the hearing. If you wanna.
I think the big issue is, for myself, was the setbacks associated with that front basin. Because right now, they're within the limits of the 100-foot setback from the vernal pool. And they're also within the limits of even 50 feet within the limits of the BVW, which is both in violation of the stormwater standards. So, you know, those were the two big issues, and I was kind of assuming that would be addressed as part of the waiver request if it came through, when it came through.
Will they also need a waiver for our local bylaw for the extra 100 feet from the vernal pool?
For the extra 100 feet.
That's part of our bylaw, right?
So you have your vernal pool boundary, the actual boundary of the vernal pool, and then 100 feet from that is your bylaw.
Correct.
Yes, they're gonna need that for the basin.
Yeah,
For the basin, so that's the
In
waiver.
the entry road.
In the driveway.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So they actually need 2 waivers.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah, and they're both associated with the driveway.
Mhm.
And those waivers associated with that, they're in areas where there's already the driveway coming in. We removed all the work that was inside the 25-foot buffer for the new construction. So most of this, some of it might be wooded, but most of that area is already disturbed either with lawn, driveway, or, you know, already developed area that we're looking for the waiver for.
Have you submitted that waiver to us?
No, we have not. We will though.
In great detail.
Do you have any other?
No,
at this point,
I
know
think
there's-
if you look at it, I think you're gonna find that there is a little bit of woodlands associated with the basin that's gonna come out. And that's, you know, obviously they're gonna have to address it in the waiver request.
All right. Shelley, do you have any questions at this point?
Nope, just get us some more information.
All right,
No questions right now.
Junior?
No.
Okay. Did anybody in the audience have any questions?
Yeah, Don Can, 64 Union Street. This is a PUD, I take it. And the open space, will that be under the auspices of the Conservation Commission?
I don't know. You answer that?
As far as the open space,
I think the open space will probably still be owned by the owner of the property.
yes, I think at the end of the day, is that right, Walter? It's gonna be,
Yeah.
it's gonna be owned by the homeowners, but there will be public access.
We found in the past that homeowners isn't as solid as organization to govern the open space. So when I was on the planning board, we did that, we didn't like it, so we put the open space under the auspices of the Conservation Commission, which we thought were a better steward than the homeowners.
I think that would be up to the planning board at this point, right? I mean, we'd accept it, but I think that would be on the planning board to decide. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, that's, my hope is that it's under the best steward we can possibly have, and I think the Conservation Commission, I think that.
I think that would be part of the planning board decision. I don't think that we can demand that they give us the property. I don't know. Sorry? you
And
have
yeah,
something?
just a comment on the open space that's gonna be in perpetuity open. It's, most of it, or if not all of it, is riverfront area and floodplain. So the commission has jurisdiction over that land through their bylaw in the state wetland regulations. So in the future, if something should happen, the commission has jurisdiction over that, any work there.
Anybody else have any comments, questions?
Yeah, Mike Bromberg, 373 Forest Street. So would that be put under a conservation restriction, the public area, open space area?
Probably be a deed restriction.
So a deed restriction, in my experience, they don't protect the property in perpetuity. They can be changed easily, a deed restriction. So conservation restrictions are it's the best way to protect the property in perpetuity. Otherwise, the homeowners association can come with a change a few years down the line and say, oh, wait, no, we're gonna change the deed restriction. I've seen them change up the Naval Air Station, with the golf course area was deed restriction, and they changed it all up, so, I don't know if you guys can put something a little stronger in there than a deed restriction.
I think that's a planning board.
And as part of the waiver request, the public benefit,
Yep.
that would be a suggested public benefit if they put that rear land in a CR versus a deed restriction.
Yeah, I think that, I agree with that, if you want.
Matt Dacey, I'm the applicant. Wouldn't it be kind of redundant in as much as the conservation already has jurisdiction over that particular area to go through and with a deed restriction, in my experience, those always pretty much stand up. And particularly with the outline of the site, I think that would be more than appropriate, probably.
Well, I think the open space discussion overall is not for the Conservation Commission, I think it's for the planning board. I mean, you know, we can talk about it, but I don't think it's ultimately up to the Conservation Commission.
I agree.
I think it's up to the planning board on how they approve the PUD. I like Marty's idea. That you guys are gonna need to come up with some sort of public benefit to get a waiver from us, I hope you realize that. So, that may help. Does anybody else, any questions? I don't know who to choose first, You guys can talk at the same time if you want.
Mary Parsons, 754 Union Street. I just want to say that if you were going by like EPA smart growth, which is clustered development, but around it is open space, if you don't protect that open space, it can be built on in the future. So if you have any kind of upland in that, it can be built on in the future if you don't protect it.
Typically in the PUD, the deed restriction, the planning board puts on there that the remaining land can no longer be subdivided or built on. So that's what the deed restriction does. And that's in perpetuity as well.
I think that's a planning board decision, but, you
Why
know,
don't we recommend it to the planning board?
we could do that.
That
Okay.
way, at least we're taking some of the responsibility that people seem to think that because, anytime you have land, they're looking to us to protect.
I don't, I mean,
Well, we can say we have some concerns when this comes up, you know, could you,
I mean, I don't know
Look
the, PUD law that good, but I do know it a little. I don't know if they can change the ownership, because then if it's research down the road and that development no longer owns that open space, where's the open space for the development? You understand what I mean? In order for this to be developed, they have to have a certain amount of open space, right? So that has to show in their deed that they have a chunk of open space. If they no longer own it, then they don't have a chunk of open space anymore. I don't know if that's an issue, but, you know, like I said,
isn't it?
I mean, as far as the
You
board's
could
concerned,
ask.
if we wanna recommend to the planning board that they go down that road, that's perfectly fine with me.
What did you say about that, just before we started this discussion? You had a thing about the open space and how it
Well,
can't be.
Well, usually the planning board puts, in their decision, they have in there that the open space can no longer be subdivided nor built on. And that's a deed restriction.
All right, we're weighing it.
Yeah, I just wanted, just Walter Sullivan, the attorney for the applicant, that's what Brendan was saying, is that as part of this PUD process, the planning board's gonna put certain conditions, and the trade-off is allowing the density, because we're gonna provide more open space. We will never be able to deviate from that, that'll be a condition. It would be violating the approval if anything ever was done, so that'll be in perpetuity. But we'll work with this board and with the planning board to make something that that satisfies everybody.
I mean, we could certainly recommend to the planning board and then let them make their decision. 'Cause, I mean, as far as the open space is concerned, it is the planning board's decision on exactly how they handle it, not this board. So, you guys wanna do that? Write a letter? Who's writing it? Me. Figures. Go ahead, Tom.
Part of the problem is that when we get put into the homeowner, auspices, the public access was changed. They put a fence across the opening, so forth. And I believe under the PUDs, the open space is there to allow public access, but not to be built on. So there's two things, one not to be built on forever, and the second thing is the public access.
Well, we'll recommend to the planning board that they, change ownership to Conservation Commission. And we'll let them make that decision. Fair enough?
We have concerns that we would like to make sure that things stay open and accessible and not be built.
Okay.
Just to make sure that everything is, you know, cross your T's and dot your I's.
Okay. Anybody? Go ahead.
Leon on 389 Concord Street. I just want to, do we still have the 200-foot buffer
Excuse me, from where?
from the vernal pool area?
No, 125.
125.
When did that get reduced from this 200 feet, correct?
Well, it's 25 plus 100. I think you're thinking the riverfront area, which is up back, which they are more out of
The riverfront's back here, and that's a 200-foot buffer off of that. We're not doing any work in there. The potential for any vernal pool, the commission has a 100-foot resource area buffer. No, it's not a buffer, it's a resource area off of that. And then there's a 25-foot no-touch off of that, so it's a 125-foot buffer from the vernal pool, or a potential vernal pool. which is what we-
So show him the vernal pool. Right on that one's fine.
Here's the vernal pool up here, the potential vernal pool runs down in here. So the 125-foot buffer is off of that, and it's basically matches the tree line on that side.
What about this way? It's also 125.
It's 125 all the way around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what they'll be asking for, a waiver for from us.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think it's 100 feet from the vernal pool depression is the vernal pool. Then from there, it's 100 foot buffer. But the 25-foot buffer, the first 25 feet in the buffer zone is the no disturb zone. So there's actually 200 feet the commission has jurisdiction over. There's a buffer zone to that vernal pool boundary, the bylaw vernal pool boundary. So you have the 100 feet from the depression is the vernal pool. Then from there, there's another 100-foot buffer zone. But within that 100-foot buffer zone, there's that 25-foot no disturb. There's still 75 feet you have jurisdiction over.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
But they wouldn't need a waiver for the
No, they
75
wouldn't,
feet.
they wouldn't. And
It's
we
just
actually.
for the 125 feet.
Right, exactly.
You're freaking confusing me here now.
No, there's a lot of buffer zone boundaries on the plan. As a matter of fact, I think one of our comments is that they need to add back.
Yes, I think one got.
Yeah, one guy, yeah.
So is the vernal pool that entire area or just the depression? Or
This
or
is the
still up for
certified,
debate?
this is the certified vernal pool. The potential vernal pool is the red lines, or the better ones. Potential vernal pool line starts back in here and comes around down to the outlet pipe and wraps around this way. So it's in this area here. These two areas are, they're disconnected, I think, hydrologically in the site, I believe. Wasn't that there's two separate depressions
Yes.
that hold water.
That's what we saw in the, yeah.
They're not, it's not all one big vernal pool, there's two areas that
I
are
think-
connected. It almost looks like it was a.
And one of them is certified, one of them is not.
Right.
I think when this project came up originally, Gary is the one that had the comment about a lot more protection of.
It was actually
vernal pool.
Jonathan.
Was it Jonathan? Okay.
I'll give Jonathan
Well, I
the
know
credit
it
for
was,
that
I
one,
know
yeah.
it was at that end of the table.
It wasn't at this end.
No,
Sure.
and I was very happy to hear that too.
Well, he was almost up to his knees in the water over
Yeah.
there, so that's how he kinda knew, yeah.
Would it be smart to wait till March, April to really identify the potential vernal pool before we get really deep into this, or?
No pun intended.
Well, I mean, yeah, we are. I mean, it's, it's.
I'm just making a suggestion.
Yeah.
If it's not a vernal pool, then it's really a non-issue.
Yeah, I can address that. John Zimmer with South River Environmental. What we did is we flagged the jurisdictional boundary of it if it were a vernal pool, and then we did the redesign based on that. So what we did is try to be as conservative as possible by doing that. So basically, our redesign assumes that it is a vernal pool.
Right.
So we wanted to move forward with the review and, a decision at some point on that. If in the spring we go out and we determine that it's not a vernal pool, then that changes things. Obviously it changes the buffer zones and things. And at that point, we could take a look at, maybe a redesign and come back for an amendment to the order. But we didn't want to wait
Okay.
all the way until April, May, for when the vernal pool clears come out, to move this forward. So that was the kind of the rationale behind it.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have any questions?
Scott Crawford, 407 Concord Street. In other plans, there was a retention pond on the other side of that vernal pool. I noticed that's gone away. Is that because, A, you moved the road back? And second to that, where's all that runoff from the circle gonna go now into that section of the property?
So, yeah, so the pond that was here.
No, it was up the other end.
Yeah,
Oh,
the
up
one up
Yes,
top,
it was
yeah.
up in there.
There was one up there.
Yeah, that was, a few revisions ago.
Right.
That has been removed,
I see.
as well as this one here. And all the roadway runoff has been directed to pond number 2 now, which is gotten bigger behind lots 17, 18, and 19.
And was the natural runoff from those lots, I mean, I can't see the elevation lines going out to the vernal pool, but I'm making the assumption that the roadway is here, and the grade is gonna go up this way, so that end of the property is still gonna catch a lot of water based on where those houses are sitting.
Yes, it will and it won't. The high point from the property comes right about through here. So the high points are basically through the midway through the houses. So midway through the house to the front of the house flows to the street. From the midway house to the back of the house, rear of the house flows to the back. And all the driveways are being collected and rerouted down into, like I said, in the detention pond here. So actually there's less water, there's less area even going towards the vernal pool area.
Could that have a potential impact on the vernal pool, Marty? Less flow?
I thought there was more. I'll have to go back and look at it, because I looked at it, I thought there was a little more coming back towards it. In fact, one of the comments I made was that all of the roof leaders, the roof leaders were going back into subsurface structures that were in front of the houses. And one of the comments I made was because I believe they're going to flow back towards, so they'll be infiltrating back towards the vernal pools, that the water quality volume had to be increased accordingly. But I thought when I looked at it, because I was very sensitive to that too, Doug, and I looked at it, I'm pretty positive there's actually a little more. If you account for the roof area going into the leaching, I believe you're gonna find that there's more coming back to the vernal pool, so that they didn't have that issue associated with starving the vernal pool for water. I have to admit, Beta has become very sensitive to those issues. Yeah, we've been.
Any questions? Assuming you wanna continue to our next hearing?
Yes.
Motion to continue 365 Concord Street until January 11th.
So moved.
Second.
Viv? Okay. So you have Beta's comments in here,
Yep.
okay? I'm assuming by the next meeting we'll have a waiver in here,
Yes.
or waivers.
Right.
Okay.
In response to revised plans as well.
Good. Good. Move right along then.
Right.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a time frame when that waiver needs to be submitted, sir? Matter, or,
Well, without the waiver, you're not gonna get an approval,
in other words,
so.
but is it like 10 days ahead of time, or a couple weeks, or is there any particular time frame that we should submit the waiver?
I mean, the sooner the better.
Okay.
Right after the meeting.
Yeah, not before Christmas. Don't do that.
That's what I was asking. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, it actually does look familiar.
You look good.
You know, I bought a house from you,
No, I can't. Probably by 2.
1996.
Our first house.
It's still standing?
1996,
Yeah.
Cross Creek in Pembroke, I bought a house from you.
Still standing, right?
Yeah.
I haven't been there 25 years.
Merry Christmas.
Anyway. Have a nice little note. Really? All right, Kevin. You're up. Where's your entourage?
Away.
Stay away, huh?
Put them away.
Good idea.
Thank you.
I didn't get your text, so
No problem, it's nothing,
we'll
talk about it now.
I have a lot going on today.
I can understand. We open?
Motion to open the hearing, I believe it's already open, but get this thing going. Somebody say something.
So moved.
All right,
Great. Kevin Grady from Grady Consulting, representing the applicant. We've had a few meetings on this project. We've had a handful of reviews.
I'll just go hit a couple of bullet points over the last review.
Do you mind if I interrupt you for 1 second?
No problem.
Let's make it clear to the audience, right up front, of what exactly has transpired since our last meeting.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? We didn't have a septic system, we didn't have a well, now we have a septic system, now we have a well, so I want this out in the open.
Sure, actually, I think we did have some, we did have that in the last hearing, but we have had more time to analyze those two things. And we've put it together in one plan.
Okay.
So-
Maybe I was a little lost on it.
Yeah, no, we've been at this a little while and there's been some back and forth on that. So basically, instead of having, yeah, we basically combined the plan to have two options based on input from town council. I think that's just before the previous meeting. After we close that, I've gone through it with Beta, and Pat Brennan, those items you're discussing. So I believe what the abutters and the audience had seen before was a sewer connection and a water connection to the academy. So water was gonna jump off an existing, or the water main that is under construction for the rink, it was just gonna be a connection here. Sewer, it was gonna be a straight pipe connecting here. So now what we're proposing is two options. Option one is connecting to the water here and connecting to the sewer. As everybody's aware, there's a moratorium on both of those utilities in the town of Rockland. So what we've done is we've created option two, which would include a septic system located in the front parking lot here, and a public water supply well located southwest of the rink and at the southwest corner of the property. With the moratoriums, we have no alternatives. There's, the applicant needs water for the development. This is the only location on the site that meets the requirements for setbacks to any potential water source contaminants. So this is it. We do fully anticipate the moratorium for the water to be lifted. It's not though, so we do have to apply and meet all the regulations. We are on the list, we're first or second on the list, so when the moratorium is lifted, we'll be able to connect. If you look at it, we have an 8-inch water main that's already running down this road. For us to connect over this couple of 100 feet is much more economical, much less impact to the property. That's what the applicant fully wants to do. Same thing for the septic system. We can connect right out to a manhole, right in Forest Street with the sewer. But right now, we've done perk tests and we've designed the septic system in compliance with the Title V requirements right in the front of the lot. We've gone over the X's and O's on that on an engineering level and also on a permitting level. So what we did to meet some of those things is we updated the narrative to discuss alternatives, in fact that we don't have any, for the well, for the septic. We updated the notice of intent to include additional fees for public water supply connection. So we paid those additional fees. We refreshed the flagging in the vicinity of the well so that Beta could review that to make sure that it was still accurate and there was no changes there or alterations or anything. We provided details of the well installation, how we were gonna do it, where we were gonna do it, and I can show you in a moment on one of these sheets. We went over a bunch of general comments in the engineering end. The stormwater, which we were pretty close on last time, we had a few items we were discussing. One was pre-treatment TSS removal. Worked with Beta, and we added basically a proprietary insert for the catch basins, Fabco storm sacks. So basically it's a net that fits right in the catch basin, so stormwater goes in and it collects the fines and larger particles, has an overflow to go to the sump.
Those nets have to be cleaned?
There was maintenance associated with it, that went into the, it went into the operation and maintenance plan. We included that in the O&M. They can have a lot of maintenance here, so there's some efficiency when you have this type of facility, but it is something they'll have to work with.
I'm assuming no sand? With those
Sanding, they'll probably be sparingly done, right? This parking lot isn't gigantic. So they'll probably wanna do the walkways and the ones that are used on a regular basis. We completed additional soils testing. I had done soils testing all around the property for the initial stormwater design. And we did not have a test hole right under stormwater basin that's located approximately here. We discussed some special conditions that, in my response to, we had indicated were amenable to all the ones that were indicated. Pre-construction field review to save trees for the installation of the well. So we'd go out with Beta, commission if they want, and try and find a meandered line to get the water service in. We said we're amenable to that. We're amenable to only mowing if we seed with conservation mix. It was recommended that we only mow between October and November 31st. We're amenable to that. Also at the pre-construction meeting, we wanted to review the dewatering operations. If they need that for installing the water service line. So if we're trenching near wetlands, there's several pockets of IVW and BVW over here. If we do a 5-foot trench, we may hit water depending on what time of year we do it, and they may need to de-water. So we added details to the plan, but prior to implementation, would review that with Beta, the contractor, myself, and make sure that everybody understands what they need to do and that everything is protected. We also agreed to hydraulic monitoring of the vernal pools in the vicinity of the well. So when we do a pump test, we just want to make sure that we're not draining the vernal pools, as I indicated in my response letter. The well is a 600-foot deep well. It's sealed. It's separated from the surface aquifer. It's basically the subsurface aquifer that it's connecting to, and we fully anticipate there'll be no impacts. DEP has been involved with the site selection. They had no issues with that site selection.
Don't they have to put special monitors in the vernal pool, see if there's any drawdown?
We agreed to do that. Basically, we were gonna put, measuring.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
the
yeah,
sheriff
right.
ought to do, right?
Yeah, just,
To see if it was drawn down at all over
Yeah.
24-hour period, 48-hour period.
Yeah, so we agreed that that we're amenable to doing that. And then the last item was, the location of the well line. It was in the last review letter, there was discussion that topography was difficult to navigate. I had gone out and shot the topography of that yesterday and confirmed that the location that we had proposed it wasn't feasible. So if you've been on the site, you know that to the south here, there's basically a cut
and there's gravel exposure. This site, 50 years ago or 70 years ago was a gravel pit, I would think, and they left spoils in a few areas, and this was one of the areas that they left spoils and mounded up. So trees have been growing out of that, for the last 70 years, and they just left it a big mounded mess.
That's the utility line for the rig, right?
This
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, there's basically a big cliff there.
Correct. What we tried to do was maximize setbacks to everything. Our topography, which we had done back in 2017, fully anticipating that we weren't doing anything here. We caught a bunch of these hummocks, but this one right here, we had missed, and we weren't overly concerned with it because it wasn't really in a developable area. We had hit all these wetland flags, and the topography connected in between each one and neglected the hill in between. So we went out and added that. I grabbed those features. Since the beginning of this, I had wanted to use this existing path that's been out here. I know I sent an email and a photo of that path earlier today to you and to Beta. There's no vegetation in the path. It's at least 10 feet wide. It's compacted gravel. It's easy access.
Is that the path that goes to the base fence?
Actually, it goes, probably everything does. This one goes south to Forest. It wraps around and comes back around Forest Street. If you go probably up this way, I think it's cut off now.
So where would the air base fence be?
To the north here. Go to existing conditions.
I'm trying to picture where that path is.
I know where. Actually, I brought you guys plans.
You did?
Yeah.
Glad about that.
Oh, yeah. There's two sets in here. Pass that down.
They're new plans.
Yeah. And you guys wanna see this?
I know the path.
So,
No, I don't know the path. I know the path.
I know it's hard to see.
It took me a
this
while, I
scale.
haven't been out there 30 years.
Oh, I can't understand why you can't figure it out.
What am I gonna do with this?
Show us another one, we can go with that.
Go ahead, Kevin, we're being rude.
No problem.
go.
So this,
That's just what we do.
it's a well-cleared path. It's, I think we can access the well install without having any impacts. I would like to suggest that we put, timber mats over the wetland area. There's no vegetation, it's, in that area, it's a hydraulic connection only. There's two isolated vegetated wetlands that cross this path. Actually, every path out there had a little connection across it. I had no way to get to this 270-foot radius without using a path. So, in my opinion, I think this is much less impact to the habitat, the wetlands, the overall woodland function using this path than cutting a path and grading. It is possible that if we're not allowed to put the water line in this path, that we could meander around this path a bit. I'm still of the opinion the most straightforward thing to do would be to work within the path, put it back with the native materials that we took out, quick trench, put it aside, and put it back together, loam it, maybe some conservation mix, but leaf litter, slight compaction, and this path is back to where it is today.
You don't even know if you're gonna need the utilities.
I don't want the utility, we don't even want it, and we anticipate that within weeks to, a month or so that the water moratorium will be lifted.
So, my suggestion is we allow them to use the path. Because otherwise, they're gonna clear a 14-foot by X amount area that could possibly be for absolutely nothing. Because they may not need this well. And that's, you know, we can get into that a little later, but I think that if there's already an existing path, I think that's what should be used and not, you know, not more clearing out there, there's already been enough. So, go ahead, Bill.
So I added some notes to this sheet, which discusses, let's see, putting the water line in the path, or alternatively, if that's not feasible due to the regulations and working within these IVWs, that we meet, and when we do the water service, we meet and we pick away a line through here that minimizes tree removal. We could use a mini excavator and just stay on the edge of the hill and not get up into the hill where we would have to do any grading. This, as I said, it's already cleared, it's flat, it basically is about a 3-foot change, and this is 124, this is 122 here. So it's a 2-foot change in elevation. Top of this hill, where we would have to get, where we maximize setbacks, the goal of maximizing setbacks, puts us up at elevation 132, 138 is the highest point. You know, to install a water line in something like that, we could certainly do it. But I believe there's much less impact working in this.
So that water line's gonna go all the way through the ring property, all the way, that's gonna be, you're gonna need a big ass pump.
Yes. Yep.
I mean, that's a long way. I mean, shit, that's gonna be, what, a quarter mile?
I think they have 1,400 feet,
Quarter
if I
mile.
remember, yeah, quarter of a mile.
That's a long
Yeah.
way to pump water.
2.5 feet of 2.5-inch pipe, yep.
That's a long way.
So,
So, what would there be, an easement?
for this, same owner,
Right, but what if the ownership of one parcel?
then they
changes?
would have to make an easement, sure. So really, the applicant's been forced into this with the moratorium, this is not what they wanna do. They have water already for this, that they've built the infrastructure on. We basically would like to have this as a placeholder, because we truly feel that the water is gonna be available. On the septic system end, that's gonna be a longer term thing, I believe the septic system's unfortunately gonna have to be built. Because we've gotten no feedback from the sewer commission, they won't even meet with us, I did see when I was looking up the agenda today that there was something posted from the sewer commission, but I didn't have time to read it, that came out December 7th, but I'm not sure what it says. So this is the trickiest, in my opinion, this is clearly the trickiest part of this application we have, and it's something that we don't wanna do. I think if the moratorium lasts longer than we anticipate, I think what we would do is hit the well, make sure it's got water, hold off on the water connection.
Hold off on utilities to it.
Yeah, and then, try and time it so that we can just connect to that. We have to run the 8-inch pipe to the building anyway for fire protection. So we're actually building that anyway.
From the street.
From the driveway coming into.
Right, 'cause fire protection can't come from a well.
The fire protection, we're approved from the water commission to attach the fire connection.
Of course.
So, we're basically building the infrastructure, and we just
Right.
have to turn it on and connect the potable part.
Well.
One of the strangest scenarios I've run into.
The pipe, that we had talked about draining the basement, that's gone, right?
Yep. Yep.
What did you do with it?
I sold it to another client.
Nice. Did you gravity someplace else, or?
I don't like the pump, so, yeah. No, we, no, in this scenario, yes, we put in a sump pump and we connected it to, this outlet here. I don't anticipate it running, but as I've spoken with Gary and the commission, it's a 10-foot basement, groundwater fluctuation, we design on estimated seasonal high water. I think we've got the right separation, but even, you know, you get the right amount of storms on top of each other and it may be up
Right.
at some
And
point,
they're
so-
using the basement, right, for
Yes,
cooking and,
yeah, laundry and, utility
remember you saying that?
scenarios, yeah.
Okay, you got anything else for us?
That's all I have.
Sure.
Fresh out.
All right, Marty. We're up.
Yeah, just a question, couple questions. What is this, okay, what would the schedule of the drilling be? If the commission approves
So we'd like to,
and issues the order, what's
Yep.
the schedule?
we'd like to hold off as long as we can, so,
You can't get the building permit without it, right?
that's what I'm thinking. So we have planning board at the end of the month, building permit shortly thereafter.
End of December.
Yes.
So, basically January.
Yeah, the reason I ask is one of the, we're starting to draft the special conditions and similar to, shingle mill and the work, you know, in the Vernal pool area, you know, we're recommending that the work be, and for Monahan Rink as well, restricting the work during the Vernal pool breeding season,
Right.
which is, you know, end of February, you know, into March, so January would be the month if they were gonna do that work. So that's one thing. And the other, question is, do you have your, decision from, Natural Heritage on the, amended construction management permit yet? That's
No.
required by your well approval?
Not that I'm aware of, I did not hear from LEC that that's a go.
Okay,
But we'll need it for
yeah, you'll need
January.
it, yeah, you'll need that, and also your MEFA decision, did you
I-
get your advisory
I-
opinion yet from them?
I got an email to email them the info 2.5 weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think that, you know, given the, you know, the timing, you know, this is the stuff that, and that is in, we would recommend to the commission as a special condition that this information be provided before, you know, before they would do any work. So the electrical is always the electrical's coming out to Forest Street, where the sewer's coming out.
The electrical's coming in from the top of, Bella Hunt.
So I think I was looking at plans that showed electric going,
We had both.
running them in tandem with the,
The utility company wasn't giving us a straight answer. They basically run that for us. And this side was a lot cheaper for us to come in off of this utility pole, but they want us to provide power to, here. So they're forcing us to come in this way.
so no
Which-
longer electrical,
Uh,
or do you still want that on the plan?
I still want it on the plan.
Okay,
It's,
so no matter what, if you have to run sewer or not, you're gonna be putting underground electric.
Not necessarily. They're, right now, the scenario, underground electric from up here, not from down here.
Oh, so it's overhead?
This is overhead on Forest. We would go underground here to here, but if, grid tells us to come this way, then we won't need to connect here.
Okay, so they're also asking along with the sewer connection there for electrical. So
Yes.
both are gonna run underground,
Yes.
and is there like a requirement for the distance between sewer and electric underground conduit?
I think it's 10 feet.
Sewer and water.
Sewer and
yeah,
water's 10 feet?
I don't know of any
I don't think
setback,
that's-
yeah, and you want a few feet between them for accessibility, but,
Mhm.
I mean, in the city, they're
Okay.
all
and-
over each other.
Okay. The one thing I'd recommend to the commission, given this new information on the existing conditions, you know, new plans, and I would recommend the commission that, you know, the commission exclude, require them to come in with a revised plan showing, the new location.
I know where you're going with it. A
Yeah.
revised plan when they figure out what the hell they're doing.
Right, exactly,
I mean, we don't know, you don't know.
Once we're told what we, yeah, once,
You know what I mean?
right, you know.
I think that's where you're going, Marty, right?
Yeah.
And
So
you
you're
want an
gonna-
all
actual
new-
official plan that we have on file of what you're gonna build.
Yeah, so, I don't know how to word that, they need an approval for the well, to install a well, but yet, I guess it's really primarily associated with the water line location. So maybe the commission, I don't know,
yeah, the water line is the,
is what you need for.
yeah,
Building permit?
that's the most difficult because it goes down the path which crosses IVWs.
Which requires a waiver. So you're gonna need a.
Right, so we've asked for waivers to work in the 25-foot no disturb zone. There's no alternative to, I mean, the alternative is that we cut down a bunch of trees and regrade, which it isn't a, you know,
Mhm.
it's not the best scenario.
Yep.
Yeah, this thing keeps on growing late.
Yeah, and unfortunately, this information really's come to light, you know, kinda late in the game, so, it's, I don't know if you have a suggestion, Gary, on how to condition on the project, so.
I'm thinking the same thing, Marty.
So we
you
had
know,
said
do we come back in with another plan at that time, and
Maybe-
request
maybe the
an
commission-
amendment?
Mm.
To amend the order, or you come in with the back end with a final plan?
Maybe the order can require an amended order. I just-
It's a little, that sounds a little ass back.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, you realize what you're asking us to do is extremely complicated, right? I mean,
Well,
you know that.
if we don't need the, well, I've got all the information for both scenarios that, on the plan.
On the new
If we
set of
do-
plans.
Yeah, and it was on the last set of plans as well, but, you know, just in a adjacent location.
Well,
The-
the new set shows going through wetlands now.
Yes.
That's a big difference.
So, well, the new set also talks about another alternative, because I tried to reach out to you guys to discuss that today with a quick conversation of what you thought the best way to handle this is. I called John, I emailed all you guys,
Well,
and that's okay, it is what it is. We're here trying to figure that out now.
just for a comment on that, again, you know, today was really late in the game. You know, we're trying to get stuff ready for the meeting tonight, and it's new information, and it was a little too much for us to provide meaningful, comment and, opinion on it.
I mean, technically, all this stuff needs to be in a minimum of 48 hours, business 48 hours prior to the hearing. I mean, again, you know, go ahead.
I was responding to the last, your last letter, so, about the topography, so I just, when did I get that? I mean, I went out there and topoed it the next day, after I read the only comment that was left hanging out, which was yesterday. To try to work this thing out, so we were all up against it. And I understand you're busy, all I'm saying is I tried to call to say, do you guys have any thoughts on this?
Well, we're at a meeting right now, let's figure it out.
Thank you.
And if we can't figure it out, then we can't figure it out.
So, the condition we were talking about was to provide you a plan of what our final plan is. I think the best scenario out of that is that the well doesn't need to be installed, the water line doesn't need to be installed. So we're just eliminating things, the most difficult things at this end. Even if we install the well, this is still a significant, run to here. It's gonna cost a lot more than doing the potable, water connection here. So we would hold off on that water line pretty much a year, while this is under construction. I don't think this is going to be, constructed. Maybe we can make a condition that if we're gonna actually connect the line, that I can get back with an amendment and we can discuss the best way to, maybe you could condition that we need to come back and work on connecting the line, because that's really all it is. The well did not move.
So you're gonna drill the well, because you have to.
Yep, to show that we have a water source.
But it doesn't necessarily mean you're gonna connect to the well.
Correct.
You're probably not going to.
Probably not.
So it's probably all for nothing.
Exercise of futility.
But the problem that we have is how do we give you an order of conditions for something that probably is not gonna happen? You know, can we word the order that if this well happens, they have to file again?
One of the,
But the only problem is, what if we deny it?
Alright.
Then you don't have a water line, and you have a building that's
Would you?
90% built.
We,
That
even
doesn't
in
make
this
any
scenario,
sense. It's, I
well,
mean, you know,
would you have denied the plan? Should I go back to the other plan?
Mr. Chair,
that's,
You know?
I have some suggested language, maybe the commission can. Should option 2 be pursued, which option 2 is, I think, the,
Option 2, the
Well,
well.
septic.
What's the well and the
be
septic?
pursued,
So, yeah.
supplemental information including but not limited to a grading plan shall be provided to the Rockland Conservation Commission for review. The Rockland Conservation Commission reserves the right to require either an amended order or new NOI for any revised documentation submitted.
So I tried to get ahead of that, really. It sounds like it probably confused the issue.
not at all.
Yeah, I see, yeah, so, I mean,
How about we allow them to drill the well as part of the order? And that's it. Water line is gonna have to be a separate gig that you guys are gonna have to cross your fingers that you're gonna get from us when and if you need it. I mean, you're kinda playing a, tough game here, but, I can't speak for the board and say that we're gonna approve that, utility line. 5 members of the board could change over by the time that happens. Who knows? I could retire, which
What? You love
freaking
this.
sweet.
That's
Marty
fine.
might not be here. I mean, the whole thing could change.
Can I retire?
But, I mean, this whole scenario could change. We maybe not even be using beta anymore. So, I mean, we have to kind of plan this, so it's gonna work going forward with the language that's in it. Otherwise, I don't know, I mean, like I said, I guess we could word the order that you can go out and drill that well, you can use that path, you can put those mats down, no clearing, drill the well, get the water, and then after that, that's it for that. And just cross your fingers that, you're probably gonna get the water connection, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Maybe a year from now, who knows, but cross your fingers that that's what's gonna happen. And you're just gonna have to roll the dice as far as the water line. I can't see it being not permittable, but it might get complicated. Marty?
I mean, I don't think that, they can, it's permittable.
They
Yeah,
can-
they just
They
need to
can,
show.
they can certainly show a need
Right, no,
when
it
they
is-
come back in front of
right.
us, that they need to do that to
Yeah.
make this work.
Yeah, it's definitely permittable, but it just needs to be, looked at and.
Right.
Looked at.
So, what do you think of that?
We're amenable to that, that's fine. As I said, I don't think we're gonna install the line anyway.
I mean, if you were sitting here, how would you do it? And that's, I mean, we're trying to work with you here, we're not trying to stop or hurt or anything, we just need to know how we're gonna word this, it's gonna work. It's pretty, I mean, I don't think anybody's ever asked us to approve something that might.
Not
I
gonna
mean-
happen.
And I know that I know it's not your fault, but nobody's ever asked us to approve something that may or may not happen. It's a little odd.
I've been doing this for 47, I've never.
And when I'm thinking, you guys might know, it's tough.
Well, what do you do? They shut off the water. We've come up with a scenario that connects. The last piece is that I need to provide you with information how that it's not gonna have adverse effect on the resource areas. Adverse impacts.
And you've already done your filing with DEP for public well, right?
Yep.
So, I mean, as far as the well, I think the well, the board has to vote.
And we're just
The
trying to,
well's fine.
we just wanna work with you guys to make sure that we're meeting your regulations and protecting the, ultimately protecting the resource area to the maximum extent. And I think the scenario I've given you here accomplishes that,
So
as
how about
opposed
you
to
and
going
Marty
through.
work together to get the language down to where it needs to be? What do you think?
Well, I mean, on the draft order, yeah, I mean, we can do that once the hearing is closed.
Right,
I'm fine with that.
no, I mean,
And the
It's
commission
great,
wants
perfect.
to.
yeah,
Let's do it.
hopefully it's something you never even have to go down the road of.
I agree. Nobody wants to build it.
No,
It's,
I don't know why you'd want to. Okay, so besides that scenario,
Do you have anything?
area,
No, I.
besides that issue, you guys are happy with everything on this plan, that
Yeah.
made their appropriate changes,
Mhm.
blah, blah, blah,
Yeah, we
right?
pretty much beat it up enough.
Okay. All right, board,
They've decided that they are, as they stand right now, you're definitely going to do the septic system, because that seems to be the longest time out before you might be able to get anything townwide, right?
it seems that way. The good part of the septic system is we can hold off to the last, we can hold that off as long as.
There was
to
a
the end.
time frame that you mentioned in your dissertation here about something about a year or so, so that's,
I'm thinking
probably the
approximately a
same
year
way
for
for-
this construction.
yeah.
The septic system's out front here. We, I think they would wanna hold off on that and build the building as long as possible and then do the site work moving out. So I think your septic system is gonna be, one of the last things that's done.
And
in
then,
hopes that we can
as we're thinking of it now, we're gonna let you find the water source where you have it, and you have a sort of already disturbed area that you can use to track along some path
a
there.
path.
A path,
Yeah.
yes. That,
It's
and I,
drivable.
and I like the wording that Marty came up with, because it is a contingency plan, and when and if it happens, maybe, sorta, kinda, almost, then you have to come back with definitive information. I guess I can live with that. What did I say?
I don't even know.
It's recorded.
Right.
It's all part of it.
The septic system is gonna be the very last thing that you are going to,
One of the last,
are you gonna come back in to see us before you
no, that's,
put it in
that's part of the, application before you,
Yeah, that'll be part
there?
of
Okay, so that's
our
already
approval.
on the application.
yes.
Okay.
And the sewer lines on the application, right?
Mhm.
They're both on there.
Yeah, we're both on there.
That's what I'm saying, it's up in the air, there's a kinda maybe almost type thing that with either one of them, but right now we're saying, okay, what you've decided for that seems to be reasonable.
I mean, they'd obviously
Place.
like to put in a sewer line
Of
instead of
course,
an entire
yes.
septic system. but-
Yep. And the other one is even more iffy, so. But
Anything
again,
else?
with time.
Digging the well does not impact using the road doesn't really impact the wetland area at all. Is that correct?
Well, if they put swamp mats down, then it won't ret it up.
Accessing it with the drilling
Yeah.
rig, yes. Digging the line is the
Yeah.
whole other conversation. we
Yeah,
just
no,
had.
I'm talking about
Yeah,
Yeah.
just getting the water.
Yep.
Okay.
And I guess the method for drilling, is it, drive and wash, or is it,
I'm
what
not
is
even-
proposed?
I'm not sure, honestly, we haven't picked a drilling company. I think that's probably a better question for Peter Dillon and his experience in this, area.
because there's gonna be some discharge when they drill.
Which we talked about in the narrative, and they
600
need to
feet's
remove
gonna
it.
be a lot of,
Yeah,
a lot of shit.
It's gonna be diamond bed. It's gonna be a rotary drill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well,
And they'll
and
pull
there's
up
gonna
the
be
cores.
And they'll
slush.
pull it,
They'll
they'll
pull
pull
the
up
cores
whatever
up.
they,
That's
whatever,
right.
yeah.
So
Ooh, maybe
you
gold.
probably want something in there, because you're surrounded by wetland in that area, right?
Yes.
Did Peter
Well,
say he was
we'll
gonna-
have erosion control, and we put in the narrative
I don't know.
that spoils need to be removed and placed outside the buffer.
Right.
What page is that? I like that one. It's on the back someplace.
So we're gonna line the path with silt sock.
Last page.
And any spoils are to be removed, so if you want, we can have a pre-construction, you can add a pre-construction meeting to that to review how that's gonna work.
Go ahead,
So we just discussed adding another pre-construction meeting to review the erosion controls and how we're gonna manage the spoils from the
Yeah.
drill rig.
We
Look up there.
recommended that.
Mhm.
I can't find it.
Yeah, we
What is
recommended a
it? Do you have
special
a page
condition
number there?
with the
This
driller
is page
on site.
19.
Thank you.
Yep.
Way down.
So pre-construction will, with the driller,
Right,
we're
yeah.
recommending, so
Yeah,
that
that was
we
in
can
the-
walk, yeah, we can walk the path, they can talk about their methods, means and methods, and all that, so it's really gonna come down to monitoring.
My only question would be, and I don't know, if the well is not ever used, what would the impact be on the area?
It's an expensive hole in the ground,
Yeah.
like $25,000 hole in the ground.
Actually, that is a good question, because it is a means of contaminating the aquifer, if there's a well.
It would need to be capped.
It would be capped and locked, but, I'm not sure if there's a decommissioning requirement for, a well that's not used. Maybe.
I'm not sure either. Again, DEP is the approving authority for the well, not the impacts to the resource area.
It's,
And they would weigh in on that if it wasn't gonna be connected and functional.
So I know, like, 21E sites, you have to decommission wells once the site's closed, because it's a way for someone to, they could, they could
What do you-
break the lock and force
What do you
stuff
fill it
down.
with, concrete or something?
They fill it
Because you
with,
can't pull the pipe out of the
they
bedrock.
fill it with,
Midnight?
Bentonite or what's the
Flowable
other,
fill?
what's the other clay?
I thought it was, isn't it bentonite?
Bentonite.
Is it bentonite?
Yeah.
Yeah, they fill it with bentonite. So it essentially seals it. It's just a clay, but it comes in little capsules, and then when you drop it, it hits
Yeah.
the water, it swells up
Huh.
and seals it,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
That way, whatever.
Mine's a sport number. Very nice. Okay. Anybody else have a question?
Just out of curiosity.
And you are?
George Anderson, Chairman of the Town Forest Committee, 355 Forest
Thank
Street,
you.
whatever. That well, have you ever, it might be worth your while just being where it is, just to dig an exploratory hole and sample the water where you're gonna put it.
in case there's something there. I mean, that's on the other side, that's on the base side of the basin divide.
Right.
And it might be worth it. You get down and find something there, you're not gonna be able to use it anyway.
I mean, I'm not sure.
That, they are required to take a water sample and analyze it. That's part of the well,
I mean, we know there was stuff on the base over
Yep.
in that area, where
Yeah.
it's right over in here, you don't know where that goes back.
that's right.
to
Is that
or
the
anything.
They have to
firefighters?
send, yes, they will send a
Yes,
sample
could
to
be
the
the
lab.
could be with the
No.
And have,
firefighters.
Don't waste your time
analyze
and
for
money if there's something in there.
contaminants.
you
I mean, they can't even use the well without it being,
Yeah,
without
tested.
it being tested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And approved for drinkability.
and
That's
the
part of it.
regulations have become more stringent with the.
Matter of
fire
fact, I think
retardant.
they have to take the sample before they pump it. So they don't wanna draw in,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, that's, you don't wanna do
yeah,
that.
so,
No.
I think that's what she.
Oh, you got George? Is that all you got?
Well, I have some other business after this is over, but, no, that's, no, that's fine.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Mary.
There's a whole, they just gave them the ability to just dig the well. That's it. There's a whole bunch of regulations that come with this. Plus, how close is that well to Old Swamp River? Where does Old Swamp River run?
That's pretty far from there. That's gonna be,
150.
It's not that far, because I know that area.
50 scale, so 500 feet?
yeah.
Yeah,
Couple
but
hundred yards.
that's also a Zone A, and that is part of Weymouth's water supply. So now you have a Zone A, and that's gonna be larger than 400 feet. Then you've got, if I remember correctly, the Navy said the groundwater flow is coming towards Forest Street, whereas Old Swamp River on the surface goes towards Weymouth. So you're passing through two Superfund sites, especially the RDA, which is right on the banks of Old Swamp River. So there's a whole bunch of permits that go along with this. But the abutters to the boarding academy are here, and I'm sure they'd like some questions answered. So is this meeting only for his wells
Well.
and his sewer?
No, for the project.
Okay. If the Frasers are here, they're the ones that are impacted by this.
Okay.
Tim, can I ask questions on the well first?
Okay. Mary Fraser, what? Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
You sure, Mary?
Yep.
I just want to just keep related on the well part. I have just a couple of questions. So the well is on the Rinks property, and the Rinks property maximized their 5,000 square foot of wetlands disturbance with the roadway coming in. And there's gonna be more disturbance here. So doesn't that open up a new can of permitting rules and stuff?
So the wetlands that we're talking about here are isolated vegetated wetlands, which are not protected under the regulations. They're not bordering vegetated wetlands. They are protected under the town's local bylaw, but you're referring to the state wetland protection regulations. So isolated vegetated wetlands are separate and distinct from bordering vegetated wetlands, which have a 5,000 square foot allowable, at the discretion of the commission, allowable fill.
You second that, Marty?
Yes.
You do? The other question I have is, the dirt roads that he's talking about, there was a developer who was gonna put a 40B in there at one time that I worked with a few years ago. He ended up putting them up on the base. And the reason why he walked out of this is because the ledge is right up to the top now. It's all dug out, it wasn't a gravel pit before. They dug all this dirt out, I believed, either to build VFW Drive or for Route 3, when they were building Route 3. So they dug it all the way down to the ledge. So there's been a lot of blasting when they built their rinks. We listened all summer long to blasting. I'm assuming to get any pipe from that well over to the academy, they're gonna have to blast their way all the way up to the rinks property, number one, to that dirt road that he's talking about. Or he's gonna have to go around, it's already dug down to the lowest it can possibly go before he hits ledge. So So I don't know how deep the utility water line has to be, but I think they're gonna have to blast their way through, which is gonna disturb an awful lot in that area, so.
5 feet, Kevin?
Yeah, 5 feet.
Have you tested any, to see, have you drilled out there to see if it's all ledge or?
I probably would have to file a notice of intent. No. I've done test holes, in the vicinity. I have not done test holes there. We weren't intending on working in this area, until the moratorium forced our hand. I have test holes at the drainage basin where we didn't hit any ledge, so basically in this whole area, we've done test holes. This all through here is elevated and filled. We hit ledge up in this area. This is where they've hit the ledge so far. They've got excavation for drainage basin here, drainage basin here. We've installed drainage and sewer pipe, and we have not hit ledge on the south side here.
I think the utilities at this point are kind of a moot point. Because you have to come back to us for that.
That's a good point.
You know, we've already agreed to that.
Yep.
You can go out and drill it, and that's it.
Yep.
You know, utilities, grading or anything that goes along with it, blasting, that's gonna be, that's gonna be another visit.
Okay.
Correct, Marty?
Well, not the utilities going out to forestry.
Well, the utility, the
No,
water,
we're
the
talking
water
about
and
well.
electric to the well.
Electric to that was one of our comments, early on, was potential, blasting I don't believe we ever got an answer whether or not, but we would recommend a special condition if they had to do blasting, that they'd have to come back, cause blasting has a major impact on, a lot of things.
We did respond to that. Yeah.
No
No
blasting.
blasting's proposed. Not,
So if they had to blast, then they have to come back.
yeah.
Okay.
And did they blast in Monahan?
Oh,
Up
all
in this
summer.
area.
They did?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit.
They blasted.
Oh, yeah, quite a bit.
All summer long.
No,
Yeah.
I know they
Did they,
chipped away at it with a hammer
But
because
did
I can
they-
hear it in my house.
like,
Yeah.
use TNT blast?
Oh, yeah, my house was
I think they
shaking
blasted.
all summer long, believe it or not, yeah.
I know they've been hammering rocks.
Oh, yeah.
They found, like,
Yeah, a shitload.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
I wouldn't be using that language though, but yes, they did find a lot of it.
Yeah, people are used to it by now.
If I can follow up with that, then if you drill a well, we'll be putting a structure out on top of the well, or?
I didn't hear your question, Mike.
I'm sorry, if they drill a well, will they be putting a structure, permanent structure on the well site?
We've not
Like a
proposed
well,
one. We've not proposed a shed or a housing or anything at this time, no.
Would there be, roadways going out to maintain the well?
Just the existing path.
So it would be vehicle traffic going out there though?
No. That would be in a rare,
So there would be some kind of-
catastrophic occurrence. You do testing and general maintenance by foot.
So if they have to put a new motor in,
No
pump or
house.
something like that, then they're
No-
gonna
no
pump it
house,
in by
no-
foot?
If they have to do it, as I said, that would be a rare occurrence. That wouldn't be that's not continual maintenance.
I think if they pull up 600 feet of line, they're gonna need a truck, but
Yeah.
that's a lot of line.
No, I know for that initial, but I don't think Heritage allows any structures or vehicle traffic in the turtle habitat area as part of the CR. Certainly, I don't believe the taker of the CR will allow a pump station, any kind of structure or a roadway that's gonna have traffic, going out to it. I don't think you'd see, I don't know if it's Wildlands Trust or whoever they're using, I don't think they'd allow that out there, just so.
they have to get decision from them on this. And I would actually, it's a good point, we should add a special condition in perpetuity that if they have to access the well head, they have to put swamp mats down, if it's dry, if it's during the wet, if it's wet.
So, and if I could follow up, would you have to withdraw the C&M permit and start over again with this, or?
No.
So the approved permit,
I don't know if we have to withdraw or anything, and I'm not sure.
you have to revisit the heritage at one point.
Yeah, exactly, we have to revisit with, anybody who's impacted. We've already reached out to Heritage, we've reached out to, everybody involved, and it just takes time.
So when you're reaching out to them, did you mention that there'll be a, call it an access, I don't wanna call it a road, but an access
Driveway.
Yep.
driveway?
We submitted the previous version. This version was created in response,
Okay.
for tonight's meeting, so this
But
is
that's
brand
in-
new.
Oh,
This is
okay.
brand new, so we will,
Amend that?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Alright. So, do we have to wait for that decision from them?
They can't drill until they get the decision. That's part of the DEP.
But we don't have to wait?
We don't, no, that will be a special condition that,
A lot of special conditions.
you know, is-
So if I can just follow up on that then, so I think the commission would probably wanna see something, the land has to go into a conservation restriction. So I think the commission would be wise to, see if they have somebody who's gonna hold the conservation restriction, and if there's an allowable use for them. As part, along with because this whole project can't happen unless we have somebody holding the conservation restriction.
the commission holds it on this?
No.
No, it'd be like Wildlands Trust.
Well, I would think it'd be the applicant's responsibility to,
Yeah, that's what's in the
yeah.
CMP, right?
So
But
the
my point is,
CMP,
if they
yeah.
went ahead and they didn't have a holder of the CR,
They haven't
Yeah.
executed it.
yeah, they haven't executed it, but it's gonna complicate things if they don't have anybody to hold the CR for.
well, I know that DEP flagged it that they needed, likely needed an amended CMP for this, before they could actually drill the well.
Right.
So, DEP's on top of it.
Lakeville?
Isn't there 3 lots you want us to take to out of the ring?
Yes, yep.
That's not one of them, right?
No.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Question?
Mary Fraser, 400 Forest Street. Kevin, could you turn the map around so it shows our property? There you go. Okay, so it's my understanding that you have 2 scenarios with the sewer also, right?
Correct.
Either hook up from the street, excuse me, and this passes my house, so it goes, all the utilities are going through here, right?
Correct.
Okay, if you get the moratorium done. Now, if you do the septic system here,
Yep.
okay, are you still gonna have overflows here?
If we build the septic system, we will not be constructing the sewer.
Okay,
And I believe the electric is coming in from the front as well, so there is a chance that might remain untouched.
okay. So,
It is their land at the end of the day, and it is outside the buffer zone.
absolutely.
It is outside the buffer zone.
yep. But at one point, there was gonna be 3 overflow tanks here. If there was a
So
if
that
there
was
a
the
septic.
reserve area, and that's just an area that you reserve in the instance that the septic system fails and you can't put it back in the same exact location. That's actually been relocated to the parking lot of the rink as well.
But if you put your utilities through here, you wouldn't be able to put your 3 overflows.
Correct. We've relocated that to the rink parking lot.
Okay. Now, utilities will go through here, so it's your water, your sewer, and what about gas?
Water and sewer are not going, water is not going through there. Sewer could,
Yeah,
gas is coming from the front,
okay,
gas and electric.
okay.
What do you call in the front?
Oh, sorry, their frontage, so Bill Delahunt, where they
Up here,
have, they have access, so that's their front. That's where they access, so
what's the
Bill
access?
Delahunt,
Okay, all right, not Forest Street,
correct.
okay. Only because it's marked here already for gas.
Yep, there is gas out there. And just like, National Grid, the gas company and the electric company basically tell you where you're connecting. We don't really manage that.
They just put a stake there the other day and it says new gas line on it,
Okay.
out on Forest Street.
And, let's see. If we do have, actually, I am showing gas in that location, and I know I showed it out the front as well. So there is a chance that gas could go through there.
Okay. So how wide, this is a it's on the other page, but this is a 50-foot strip
Correct.
on the residential. How wide of a strip is going in, that you're clearing?
It depends on how many utilities we need to put in. I would think, I mean, they own the land, it's outside the buffer zone. It's really not this section, it, isn't really the commission's purview, per se, but if they need all three utilities, they're gonna, I think the zoning bylaw requires a 10-foot.
It's over here.
Actually, this is the, match line right here, so since I wanted to show the detail at a bigger scale, the strip is actually here, here's your house here.
Okay.
So you basically
Oh, I see.
pretend you
It's two
take
different
this and you
things.
put it here,
I see,
so
okay,
you can see them
sorry.
on the same page.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so you could possibly have utilities going through there,
Correct,
and you could possibly clear the entire strip,
correct,
worst case scenario.
correct.
What else we got?
That's it for me.
That's it?
Go ahead.
No,
I,
Good, Kevin.
kind of a little different. Since I don't have an easel, I don't know if I can show you that or not, I don't know if that's allowed. But I have a thing here, you referenced about bringing the water up here and discharging it here for the excess water.
For the drainage part of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, and this is actually their plan that I have from 2018. And it's showing the water, the sheet flow coming here, and now the road is here. And it's actually pushing it now onto my property. The last rainstorm we had, water was coming at least 50 feet up onto my property. And they were saying, last meeting, I'm sorry, that I would have less water because they're over here and they're gonna stop the water from running here and they're gonna collect it and send it up here if it's a very large flow and it can't drain. And they're gonna dump it up here. So now, they haven't even done that, and already it's coming 50 feet up onto my property. So when they had this whole parking lot and everything, and it's gonna happen, they're gonna have to pump it up here, now even more is gonna come. And they were saying they're gonna stop the water from flowing from this lot onto this lot. But I check it just about every day, and there's never been any water come from this side. onto my property, but now, if it's gonna get pumped up here because they have a park lot and a building, and it's dumped out here, there's gonna be more water coming on my property. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
explaining it right.
I guess the answer is that at this point, it looks like, admittedly, it's very flat out there. There's not a lot of grade. But it looks to me like it's gonna stay up against the roadway embankment.
No.
That's the way it looks. Now, it is very flat. You know, I understand that this was done prior to my involvement, but that's what it looks like. Because I mean, when you look at the grades, and even looking at what's up there right now, it looks like it's gonna stay up against, it should come up against the roadway. Because it seems like it wanted to cross the roadway, it then comes down through. If it doesn't, then I guess at that point in time, we'll have to go back out and take a look at it and see specifically if it needs a ditch along that side, there's plenty of room on that outside to be able to put a ditch and make sure that it stays. Put a swale and make sure it stays on the inside. But at this point, like I said, the grades are so flat, it's very difficult to see.
Yeah, there's films out there, but, I mean, the last couple of storms, there's absolutely no water coming here, but now the water's coming 50 feet up, and you can see it flowing from here onto my property.
Can I address that?
It's on film.
I'm good with this, it's the same thing. So what happens is runoff follows the topography. 62, 60, 58, 56, 54, 48. So a drop of water here that does not get infiltrated and starts to go overland flow will follow the contours and will go across his lot. That's what it does. It just does. Discharge from this 18-inch pipe.
Totally, Kevin.
Discharge from this pipe goes through this wetland, and his drawing is correct. It comes out about here, and some of it goes across the property. That's what we're showing the contours. This is the contour here, this is the contour here, this is the contour here, and this is the contour here. We go perpendicular to the contours. It goes like that. We've been talking about this. And this water comes out and starts to go like this, right perpendicular to those contours. I'm going to build this parking lot that's gonna stop this, and it's gonna come over to these pipes and down what Gary was referring to. If you stood right here, you can look down, and there is a swale right here between the bottom of the wall that started construction and the toe of the slope that goes down to here. Will some of it go like this? Yeah, if that's what the contours are doing, we can't change that. That's on his property. I walked out there with you and Caitlin, and we were discussing whether this was braided, and the whole discussion back when we permitted the rink was what was happening with the water here. And it was coming out. We all looked at how it washed out just a little bit here when it came out of this BVW, and it went across just like this. We've had this conversation since 2017.
I mean, Gary wasn't involved, but would you agree with what Kevin just outlined?
Yeah, but like I said, right now, if it comes up against the embankment, it looks like it's gonna hug the embankment. It looks to me like it's going to stay right there alongside the embankment if you look at the grades. Now, like I said, it's very, very flat. There's not a lot of relief there. It definitely does want to come. You know, Hank had requested this culvert crossing. That's definitely the low point. So whatever comes across here is gonna cross right in here and go through this culvert, which is there's now two of them there. That's definitely the low point when you look at this. I mean, that's a turtle crossing right there, but this is a little higher than this is a little higher, and this is a little higher. You know, and I know that based on the inspection I just made today.
And we looked at it when we did the test hole 2 weeks ago. We had the conversation about it. We stood there and we looked right down the edge of the roadway.
Were any of you on his property when you looked at it?
No.
That's why, because we've been on his property and that water is backing up. I took pictures of it.
Well, we'll discuss it later, but obviously I did do an inspection behind it. And part of the recommendation that I came in with that inspection is I'll go back down and look at it during an event to see specifically where the water is flowing. It looks like it should go through those two culverts. One of them is up, one of them is down. You know, understand this, that those two culverts right now are as a temporary, because that roadway still has about 4 feet of fill to go up. I mean, you look at the structures that are there now, I think there's 2 rings in the riser, so, I mean, those structures are sticking up in the ground.
Right.
Up here, because you drive right by them. So that's really gonna be the final grade of that roadway. So that embankment is gonna go out. And like I said, I looked at the photographs that you sent. Doug sent them to me and I looked at them. And I even looked back at that to see if there was if I could see any type of motion or any type of water movement, to see if there was any sediment associated with it or any evidence of it. I can't even see it. So obviously whatever's moving out there is moving very slowly.
That's not moving. That wasn't moving.
No,
And it was backed up underneath the second silt fence too. And I know that area very, very well. And I'm telling you, it's backing up on his land and you can't do that to his
The
land.
silt fence, right now, and this was part of my recommendation too, the silt fence has been embedded in there, and you have 2 sets of silt fence and you have a silt sock. So effectively, when you see that backup associated with the silt sock, what it tells you is the silt sock is really working. That's part of what's happening in terms of the erosion control. So, you know, when I saw that, and the area between the two layers of the silt fence, that's still on his parcel. So,
Behind the second silt fence goes his
okay,
property.
I didn't see the puddling
And I'm
behind it.
standing on his property when I take the pictures.
Because I saw the puddling between the 2 silt fence rows, but I didn't see the puddling to the left of it. I mean, I'll apologize, I'll go back and look at them again, but I did see that specifically, because the branches that you see between the 2, they're still there.
Right.
There's a lot of water coming on that.
We're gonna elevate this runoff from here. There's no longer gonna run here. It's gotta get through this pipe. Runoff from this portion of the property, from this woodland that crosses here now, is not going to do that. It's gonna go through the stormwater system.
There isn't any that comes from there now.
It's, you know what, I'm honestly at my end of this.
Right, you know, I got videos of it, we went out after the last 2.63 inches of water that came down. We walked the turtle fence, not one drop of water, no puddling at all against the turtle fence going east to west. So there's not, I don't care what the topography is, the ground, you did the soil test and it must be permeable because there's no water coming off of this property here. From this whole line we walked, and I've been up here 100 times myself. This whole line right here we walked up, and there was no water shedding this way, as you claim. I've never seen water shedding this way, as you claim. The water always came from here. I think if you guys remember from way back years ago when when with this permitting process, and you called it sheet flow, but it came across as Dave showed on his map that Kevin had drawn out in 2018 across the top of this property. And then, unless it was frozen in the winter, it would shed down, but it always came down across this property and it shot right over and into this wetland. Now, it's coming down and shooting right over across the whole top of his property. It doesn't hug the road here. I've been up there 1,000 times. I can show you videos. It doesn't come along the road. Now it's pushing down onto Dave's property. And the problem, if you put a swale in there, because this is, there's a pipe coming from the north side of Delahunt Way, and it drains into this wetland. And it comes from a huge wetland on the north side of the parkway. So you had sheet flow here before. We tried to say that it was an intermittent stream. That was kind of ruled out. If you're gonna pipe this now and come through here and put a swale, now you're gonna have an intermittent stream going over here. And if you do that, then Dave and Mary are now gonna have wetlands on the north end of their property. And they're gonna be under your jurisdiction. So they're gonna be limited what they can do on their own property because of a swale that's gonna be an intermittent stream, so there's a lot to look at here.
We haven't done any work outside of the limit of work. We haven't done any work on this whole side of the property. There's been no change in grades. I'm not sure how. I just don't see it. I don't see it. And,
You know what, just stop. All right. Gary,
I
does it
hate
meet
to
the
say it, but
stormwater management guidelines or not?
It meets the stormwater management, and I have to, I mean, as much as I hate to agree with Kevin, I'm gonna.
Hate to agree with Kevin.
We're an engineering brotherhood.
The problem is they're describing something to us, and they haven't done anything in that area, so.
They built a roadway.
Yeah, a
The
driveway.
driveway.
The road.
It's a
The
driveway, it's not
pushed
a
it
road.
all
Yeah, but
into
you're
his
telling us,
property.
I'm sorry.
We have
I
videos,
mean-
I can show you videos, before and
Mike,
after.
Mike, enough. It meets the guidelines per our engineer, correct?
Yes, it does.
All right, we're gonna move on from this conversation. It's been going on for 3 years now.
Right.
Anybody else have anything?
Doesn't matter that they're pushing water onto my property? Is it-
It hasn't been shown that that's actually happening.
I-
And I
could
believe,
show-
I honestly believe that's probably a civil matter anyway.
Not unless you
No,
let
it's a
it happen. If
DEP
you let it
matter.
happen, then it has to go civil. But it's your job to protect the neighbors from this water going on this property
We
that
are
never
pro-
did before.
We are protecting them.
That
That's the
never
rea-
went on there before
That's
the
the reason we
driveway
had
was
it
built.
reviewed.
Excuse me?
That's the reason we had it reviewed by a professional. He agrees.
Well, why wasn't the professional out there after this last storm event? Now he's saying maybe I'll go out after the next one. Where was he at the last one? And where was he during the northeaster?
Yeah.
He wasn't out there. If you don't look, you can't see.
And he wasn't on their property to see what they're dealing with.
It's not right.
There's no increase in runoff from the development. There's
No
no
increase.
change in drainage patterns
No,
here.
just next time, just get DEP out there.
No, there's no
So
increase, but you pushed it
Currently, right
over.
now, what's going on is the during construction phase, the stormwater basins are not in for the roadway, so they may be getting some runoff this way and this way.
Coming from the wetland.
So that wetland was there before we started the construction. Any water coming from here is water landing on here from stormwater event or coming across from this pipe. And it was there when we started the permitting process for the rink. That has not, nothing on this side has changed.
Except for the driveway,
The
Kevin.
driveway's pushing it over. I don't understand why.
It was
nothing
street
came-
flow, now the driveway's in the way and it's pushing it into his property.
I mean, I actually have a comment to that. If the water's not going up against the driveway, like you're saying it's not, then how's the driveway pushing it over?
It's going down.
It's preventing it from going where it normally goes.
It's not pushing it over right here.
It's preventing it
It's
from
not
go-
pushing it
normally
over
going where
here.
it goes.
This corner right here
I
is
know
pushing it down this way.
I know it has nothing to do with the
So
sand,
maybe
but
we
I'm
can
trying to appease everybody and I'm
Yeah,
getting really sick of it.
Separate the,
I'm getting sick of this, I'm getting sick of this. I'm just
I'm
getting
sorry
sick
you're
of
getting
it.
sick, it's a public process, and if you're getting sick of it, I'm sorry for that, but he has a right to talk about his property.
And we've
We
let
have the
him.
right to comment.
And-
He's
and we've
putting
let
more
him.
water in with his storm
And
drain.
we've let him talk.
I know it, but
I don't know what else you want me to
you're
do
not telling
here.
Kevin he's sick of
can
it,
I
but
ask a question?
Go ahead.
I mean, you know, this is going on and on and on. Gary, have you actually been out there during a storm to see where?
I've been out there, right after one event, and in fact, I gotta agree with Kevin, because it came out of this 18-inch and it kinda wound around, and it did end up right here. This is the discharge point as it comes through this, and that's what I saw, but it came to this point and then it just disappeared.
And if it is bumping it
And-
out,
and
as
how
they're saying,
long of
is
the-
it built now?
excuse me,
We're gonna put a
excuse me,
driveway.
I'm
Kevin, hold on.
talking,
I'm sorry, excuse me.
and how big of a rain event was this?
I think it was a couple of inches.
Couple of
So,
inches?
yeah, cause I was kinda shocked, there wasn't a lot of water coming through the 18-inch culvert underneath the Bill Delahunt Boulevard. it was just, I think maybe inch and a half, 2 inches was all on the bottom of the culvert.
Well, do you think by going out again during a big rain event and getting a bigger picture of the whole thing, you can make a report
Yes, I can. In
and this
fact,
will
I,
settle this whole thing once and for
Yes,
all?
It's
I
not
will
gonna
do
settle
that.
it, but yes, you can do that.
And get in touch
Can I do
with 400 Forest Street at the
But-
time so
but
that
I
he can
think
take
part-
you out back and
I
you
think
can
part
see
of
from
this is
you
that
know.
it's really in relationship to the Monahan Rink
Exactly, but-
driveway. It's not
Yeah.
really, I don't think it's related to this site.
That's exactly what Marty said, and that's
Yeah.
exactly what I tried to say.
Mhm.
The project that we're hearing right now, this discussion is not,
Except,
It's Level
I-
Academy.
I agree, Doug, except for he's adding more water. If his storm system is inundated, then he's gonna pump it up and add more water to that corner. So it does have something to do with this project, because he's gonna pump stormwater from his project up into that corner again.
I know we can't do anything about what's there now, but I'm trying to stop from having more water dumped there. Yeah,
And I would
I don't
just
know
like
how
to
to
know
explain
where
it.
the water's coming from.
as we sit, we have had our professional review it, and it meets the guidelines, there's nothing else that we can do. We deny it, it's getting appealed, it's the way it is, and it's gonna pass. It meets the guidelines, there's nothing, I don't know what else you want me to do.
I can.
This is the Level Academy that's all
have an
along,
idea.
it's the Level Academy, that property is on the side border, actually the east border, all along the way of their property. So that's the issue, and that's the water issue, is to the Level Academy. We're not talking about the skate rinks, we're talking about the water that is on that side of that driveway, and it's gonna have an effect on him with the Level Academy. That's the issue. So that underground stormwater thing, is that getting approved? Where he's coming out to that point and he's saying his stormwater's gonna go over or underneath the driveway towards a certified vernal pool, which is there. That's the issue that connects with this issue.
You want me
And I'm savvy enough to know that they can call DEP and have them come check out the water on his property.
Basically, would you like me to answer, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, please.
All right, basically, there's a certain amount of runoff based on the calculations that is coming off of this site that enters the parcel. That enters that, comes across the site based on the contours, and even based on what I can see out there, cause when I was out there. It comes off of the parcel and sheets off. On the calculations that have been presented by Grady Consulting, the answer is they're going to subsurface, and the discharge coming out of the subsurface is less than what you would anticipate coming off of the site under the conditions as they stand right now. So in essence, there is less flow coming off of the site towards the west, towards this site, in accordance with the calculations. Now, you know, you either accept the premise associated with the calculations in terms of the HydroCAD runoff in TR 55. If you accept that, then the answer is yes. Now, when you do the calculations and it determines how much water is actually coming on, it's not like you're gonna see the Merrimack River coming down through here. It's just gonna be small amounts. And it's probably gonna be, I mean, I looked at it, the leaf depth out there has gotta be 8-9 inches. So if that water flows, you're not gonna see it. It's gonna flow beneath the leaf matter on most of the conditions. And there is a very visible channel coming from this site across onto this. It's very visible. At least I can see it, you know, and like I said, I've been doing this a long time. And I can see that the water would come off of the site, so that's gonna stop. So there is going to be a real decrease, and yes, he is gonna direct it to the front. But when you direct it to the front, you know, if you look at the topo and you look at what's there, it should stay along the roadway, and it will definitely end up right there. That is the low point. Now, admittedly, all of that was associated with the Monahan Rink, and I believe even Hank took a look at this, and I believe Hank made the same deduction, or the same.
Yeah, I mean, you know, all along you know, we're using the existing topo shown on this plan. You know, it's really flat out there, it's hard to see visually, so you have to go by the topo on the plans. So,
Okay.
and if, you know, as long as the topo existing conditions is stamped by PLS, DEP will accept that. I'm not sure if
Front page. Yeah, front page,
Yeah, so-
I know Tim Bennett is,
Yeah.
yeah, Tim stamped it, so it's.
So could I ask another question?
You may.
Mary Frater, 4th Street. When the, septic, if the septic goes here, it's got a leach, is any of the leaching, how do you control that? Is it gonna go into this at all? Or this way?
So the effluent typically would infiltrate straight down, maybe some sidewall, so it goes straight down through the,
Into the ground?
Into the
straight
ground,
down?
yeah.
Okay. And how much higher is, where the building is and going towards the driveway? It does grade down now, but how much higher are you gonna have to build up to, are you gonna build it up equal to the road?
so actually, the high point's gonna be a foot higher than the intersection of the road right here. 156, 157. Existing grade in this location is 152, so 5 feet at the highest point there.
So you'll be filling in 5 feet.
Yep, and there's retaining walls proposed around both sides.
How high are the building walls?
Approximately 4 to 0, 4 feet, about 4 feet
Okay.
for the majority.
And then on the top of the retaining wall, there's gonna be some type of a gutter, or how does that drain?
All the water is pitched to the storm inlets, the catch basins.
Right, so where do they empty out? I'm sorry,
They
I've
go
always said
in-
this 1,000 times.
Into the
but-
subsurface drainage system, in this scenario.
So that also goes down into the ground?
Yes,
So
so
the
that
drainage does-
infiltrates and peak in larger flows, it overflows to this location here in higher storms.
That's my problem, just that little end right there. The overflow's gonna go there and get dumped out there, cause that's coming on my property. And it wouldn't be coming on the property, other than that. I'm sorry.
Okay. Any other comments?
Thank you.
No.
Mr. Chairman, can I send you a video of the area so that you can send it to your professionals who haven't witnessed it out there during storm events?
You may.
Thank you.
Okay. George.
Quickie, just a quickie. You know I keep the weather records for the town, okay? Between July 1st and October 31st, we got 33.65 inches of rain. One thing during the summer, what happens in winter when the ground freezes? That's a lot of water if it happens. I just don't know, it's just a comment, I just don't know how that affects that. It could, I suppose, I don't know.
I was kinda hoping it would for, then I'd really see what's going on. Then it would really be flowing.
It's a lot of water, it's more than half the annual rainfall in 4 months.
When it freezes out there, it definitely flows.
Yeah.
A lot
It does,
more.
yeah.
Okay. What do you wanna do, Kevin, with this hearing?
I'd like to close it and request an order of conditions.
Motion to close the hearing for North School.
So moved.
In favor?
Who said that?
Second.
Hearing's closed.
Thank you for your hard work, guys, appreciate it.
Mr. Chairman, the hearing's closed, but I was gonna send you a video of proof evidence of what's going on with the water out
Mike,
there.
as you know, it's not my hearing, it's his. He just asked to close it. You know the rules. It's his hearing, not mine. It's why I asked him if you wanted to close the hearing. He requested it. I have to abide by that.
Oh, I'm
That's the
sorry,
rules.
my bad, I didn't know if you
That's the
closed it or
rules.
they closed it, okay.
Now, we can write a decision that says lack of information,
Okay,
but it's his hearing, not mine.
thank you.
I have paper, stormwater copies for your
You know,
files.
For those revised, or the real ones?
They're the old ones.
Before he goes, these three classes, it says Monahan Lake is looking to donate property to us, Lee Gilbert Street.
Yeah.
I think we've gone over that a bunch of times.
No, we did that last
Charlene and I were confused on that, because
Yeah, you guys have electronic
thought
copies, I thought you guys
parcels
wanted
across the
paper
street.
copies.
the street.
Kevin, on the lots you need us to take,
Yep.
can you show these two?
I'm not sure I know which ones Dan pointed out
Well,
to
we
you.
were under the assumption there were lots
I-
across the street.
Yeah, that's what I thought too, and I don't wanna tell you the wrong
Mysterious
lots.
lots.
You don't know where the
Yeah.
lots are?
Yeah, yeah, okay.
No, I wasn't involved with, which lots there. I
Well,
think they're
we've
over here.
requested, more information, because we wanna know that 21Es are clean, so
we wanted-
who's checking up on that?
We asked them for phase 121 on all of the lots that they wanna send
Yeah.
our way.
Yeah, because,
I'll check on that. I know Dan was gonna take care of that with the.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask if,
Kevin,
through you,
Gary's got a.
to ask Kevin if, these plans were submitted to the town clerk, because he went up yesterday and didn't see any new
Gary's
plans.
got
Just gonna
I
ask.
think they were fresh as of today.
I went up there today and they went.
So the public has no time to look at any plans, because they weren't submitted to the town clerk.
Yeah, and
You're
like,
welcome to a copy
yeah,
of them.
and she
A little late
showed me
now.
one other thing too,
I'll take a copy.
and in the morning I had the other item, but I did not.
At least we're all
Oh,
up.
God, is this the whole copy?
Okay, so she.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, we signed two
We've already got a copy for the file.
Right. The other thing they can do is get a true attest copy.
That saves me from going up here.
So
Mr.
the
Chairman, does
commission-
it take, does it have to submit plans
Should've
to
come
you
from
prior
with the
to
Staples, 'cause you just-
today?
Oh,
All right.
oh,
I mean, is it,
He literally just submitted them tonight to me.
and that's okay with the commission?
We just went through the plans in the public hearing.
Besides which, our professionals
Did he ask what you're in?
had the review.
Yeah, but the public hasn't had a chance to look
Okay,
at
I
any
don't know if you're
plans.
gonna get
Oh, where's the elastic?
a half.
He took the elastic off.
I don't
of
have
that.
no last.
Alright.
Okay, let's regroup.
Yeah, Mary.
So the commission
Thank you.
needs to issue the order within
We'll get it
21
over there.
days.
I know that.
Does
So
that
your
bring us up
next
to the
hearing is not within 21 days.
Okay.
So, the first Tuesday of January is
1197 is 4.
Can we ask the applicant for a waiver on the 21 days?
Yes, you can.
Assuming you'd be fine with that.
Can I make a phone call and come back? I just wanna check on, I just wanna make sure I'm not missing anything. I don't think that I have an issue with it, but I don't know, can I come right back?
Phone a friend?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh. Okay, so we've already just partially discussed it, so we don't know what's going on with this three parcels
Right.
that they're donating, we don't know where it is. We don't know if it's on the other side of Delahunt or on this side of Delahunt.
They wanted to,
They
they
wanted
wanted
to
us
give
to
us-
trade our property for that property, they were gonna build us a house on that property.
We don't really even know what, I mean,
It's
I
by
saw a
Little
map
Pine
that
Grove.
showed these three lots, and they were across the street.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I thought
Yeah.
from what I
They
wrote
weren't
down.
even on the
They
same
lied.
side of the
No.
property. Saying that they-
There's already conservation land,
But that may be, they
there's
have
already
already,
conservation land
but it hasn't been
on the
permitted.
other side of
Yeah, you
Delahunt.
would.
Right, there's- we own a lot over there, correct? Then there's a couple other lots that are actually connected to those lots I wanna get.
See, I put down near Monahan and Delahunt, you want these to be clean, and the airport, which is airport industrial. And that was what the intent, and it says page 3 and 4, but so does it go ahead. So I looked on that.
I think it was
map,
page
and
3 or 4 of the map.
Yeah, well, I looked on that.
They're making,
So we've been having a discussion.
So we still don't know what.
We don't know, no.
The new topo shows.
But himself said he's gonna, if somebody else was removed, he wasn't sure, so.
A 20 block
It's the same site.
on, that was on Hingham Street, and the water was draining onto someone else's property. You just want to remove it.
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
sorry.
Okay.
I think so, huh?
You and Donald, we'll get you guys out of here. What do you got?
First, 8:30, that done.
At 9?
Yeah, 9:30.
What is this for, George?
Want to eat the Mexican restaurant?
Motion to pay the bills for the town
Wait a
forest.
minute, wait
Right, hold on,
a
we
minute.
know
Oh,
what it's
okay.
in for.
You know where the Dunkin' Donuts is?
12 by 18 reflective sign.
Just the side of Queen Anne's
Mhm.
Corner.
And a couple of maybe seats.
No, not Strawberry Fair. It's,
Miscellaneous stuff.
yeah, it's right near it. Go up 53, go in south towards Norwell, and it'll be right on the left, just across from from,
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. 9:30?
9:30. And I'll leave it look better for you, I'll have it here.
You guys wanna look these over before we sign?
On the lighter side, I wondered if you wanna take a look at
No,
that.
I pretty much discussed it.
That's
so-
Yeah, I
an
know.
award for Jim Norman, he's been on the committee for 13 years, he resigned at the end of April this year.
Next time it rains,
I
I'll
don't
be
find
up
it,
there.
one of the
Yeah, okay.
He had to get off with his doctor said, you got heart problems. I'm telling him.
We'll find it on here tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be glad to
Used
sign
them all
it.
up?
Hmm?
I'll be glad to sign it.
Yeah, go ahead and sign it, I'm gonna sign it, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We'll get down to him
Right,
tomorrow.
I'm gonna head out.
Sorry.
Welcome.
Is there a rink update tonight?
The rate update?
It's on the agenda.
Did we just kind of do it?
Okay. Do we have a rink update?
Yeah, you would,
If you want, yeah, I can update, I did do a draw up an inspection report.
That's wonderful. I don't know.
basically went out there after Mary's comments.
So
and
what's it for?
Gary already discussed his observations during this past discussion on,
Mary's email about the pipes?
yeah,
Yeah.
we talked about
Yeah.
that already.
There's a couple, there's a little bit, if we took about 8 to 12 inches off of them, we'd probably gain a little bit more.
Okay.
But the left one is actually still sticking up, but it looks like the right one's fine. The right one looks like it's seated. It's a little bit lower to the left, which I really don't want to take that out. I'd rather see that there, just in case we do get an event and whatever sediment actually comes down through adjacent to the roadway and
Gas
settle
goes
out in
around
that
there.
prior to discharge
Yeah.
across the street.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's reflective signs.
But
What's the big deal
I
about that?
already told the supervisor, I said, the next time we get an event, I'll just go out at the peak of the event.
Okay.
I only live 10 minutes away from this,
Oh, no,
so
fine.
it's a very easy trip for me to make it over.
Besides that, the site overall,
One thing I will tell you, they started the turtle tunnels. One wall is in,
All of those are listed there. I checked that.
so I would say
No, you
probably
didn't
by
tell
the
me
end of the
that.
week, that those 2 turtle tunnels will probably be in. Looks like they're setting about a wall a day, so they got 3 more days to complete it.
okay. Thank you, Gary.
All right.
May I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
George,
Go right ahead.
these are good, but you didn't put your total on them.
Go right ahead.
Can I ask how the
You didn't total
sedimentation
them.
is going, the fine silts going into the Cedar Swamp? They continuing to go through there?
I didn't even look at it this morning, I just looked at the area that Mary had the photograph.
Those were comments in the last meeting, you know, that
Oh, you put it up
control
there.
those
You
silts.
put it up top.
I'm hearing you're still going in there, and that's against your order of conditions.
I haven't, I think Tyler, one of the other members of the Beta Group actually did an
You guys
inspection
Yeah,
checked it out?
he did.
on the 30th.
Yeah.
And I thought I thought he said it was looking pretty good.
No, we're not
I'll
signing.
check
Is
it.
there any way you can stop it, prevent it from continuing on as it has the last several months?
I'll have to talk to Tyler about that.
Right now, it looks pretty good. I'll admit, both basins are dry. There's a little bit of water right now standing in the bottom of one, but, you know,
They're
because the
pumping
rain.
water, I think, they're pumping water into the sediment's still going into the
We
Cedar
have to,
Swamp.
we have to approve them, so Doug wanted us to look at them.
It'd be nice to stop that at some point.
I understand, I appreciate you. Like I said, I didn't go down there. Next time I go, I'll go down and take a
When
look.
I asked about the manganese, iron and manganese, that was at the wetland crossing.
I don't think, yeah, that was, but you don't have any standing water back there, so I don't think there's any evidence of the, The iron
Pictures in the
deposition.
Bay report,
So you should want, you gotta have a standard one, you can't see your house. You know, once the water goes away, you don't really see the
Made a
rest of
mistake of going Christmas shopping after today.
it. It's covered by,
Oh,
I think a lot of it is already covered by people.
Any idea what might have caused that?
you guys actually own a lot
The iron precipitate?
Yeah, it was never there before, ever.
No, there's no way to know. Because iron precipitate, it's
It's either disturbed or
naturally occurring.
had some bad soils pulled into something that created it.
That wouldn't cause that.
Mike, can you make a list of your concerns and send it to me?
Sure.
For our next meeting,
Yeah.
Beta will, we'll address each one of them.
Here,
Here.
could I get
They
the
know there
copy
was
of the
iron
report?
precipitate we
Yes, you
observed,
may.
but
Is there a timeline on when they're
Yeah.
gonna actually get working on their driveway? Because they're working on the building, but they're not working on their
I
driveway.
think they have to bring the driveway up. You guys can go. if you
Yeah.
want.
just wanna make
Thank
sure
you.
Mike's.
Yeah.
I think that they mentioned that earlier, that the manhole covers are.
Yeah, but there's places where their driveway's falling apart, it has been falling apart, because they just keep working on their building and not their driveway.
You can't get there anymore.
So, can you?
I'm just
No,
wondering
so
if
we
they've
get-
got,
we
you know,
get
if they're
an
gonna be
approval
1 year out,
of
2 years out,
Motion to
what?
pay the bills.
motion to pay the bills, second.
Thank you. Take
All in
that part over
favor?
to me, please.
What
So,
about this one for George?
yes, motion to,
Pay George's bill for the town of. Second.
where's the cover? Oh, yeah, there's the cover. So, on the driveway, Mary, Mike, can you add that to your list? And I'll have a Beta address that too.
They're
When's the
doing-
driveway
they're
gonna
doing
be
the turtle
finished?
tunnel now, I don't know what else they could do really right now. I don't know.
42 discussion going.
I know. That could be me right now.
Yes, and how are you doing?
I think I'm recording it
They
again.
can do anything to the town.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think recording it was better,
haven't seen anything.
right, Carrie?
What was that?
Recording it was better and you could type it at your leisure.
2 weeks.
Yeah, but you guys were all talking over each other, so it's gonna be fun listening to.
Where? There's 5 of
Right at the
them. I haven't
wetland,
seen any.
right at the wetland crossing.
Kevin, did you give us an answer?
I did not, can I get back to you? Because nobody was there. So you have 21 days, I can tell you tomorrow, I'm sure it's fine, but I don't have
Virginia?
I don't have the owner or the applicant to ask.
So we may have to have a meeting, the first week in January and the second week.
I think you'll be fine, but I really don't wanna make that call without checking
Okay.
with,
I'm gonna need them to put that in writing for me.
yes, yeah, of course, yep,
Thank you.
okay, thank you.
I don't know what to say. If the room's an issue, then we'll go upstairs, or we'll have it in the goddamn parking lot, all right?
Hey, we can do
I
that.
don't really care.
Who has it?
This is not something I
Did you
signed.
go to the conference?
Doug, you're all set with me?
The conference?
I'd like to know sooner than later, so we have to
The
schedule a
conference,
room
the
or something, all
conservation?
right?
Yeah.
Obviously not tonight,
No,
but
it
I'd
was,
like to know.
no, it took a
I'll find
class,
out tomorrow morning.
a virtual,
Happy
online.
Merry Christmas, Judge.
Yeah, same to you.
Is there another meeting on this, or it may not be a meeting, or there may be a meeting?
On the Lavelle School, the hearing's closed, we haven't issued orders yet.
Okay, so that,
But we got a lot of special orders.
we're done with meetings.
Well, not really, because they have to come back for the well lines and the electrical lines, if that happens. I mean, you saw the mess that they're trying to propose to us. So, as far as that
Sign for zero as
property and that development, yes, the
Lorraine
meeting's
signed
over for
zero
that,
as well.
No.
but we haven't issued
Lorraine
orders
didn't
yet.
sign this one, right?
Don't forget,
She
we can
didn't
add
sign
in an
one.
order that
It was hers, she can't sign that.
specifically says you can't put water on other people's property.
Alright, so you guys, can you stop a little bit? So at the last
Right, Mike?
meeting,
Yep, yep.
Sure.
everybody just hear down,
Enough,
just a touch.
hold,
The,
the secretary has a comment.
Right, at the last meeting, when you guys signed Lorraine's bill, it was no dollar amount, so we couldn't submit it. Then we just did it again, but Lorraine signed it, so now I can't submit it. So,
And that will be added to the board.
you know, I couldn't understand why they just wouldn't come to your side and take
Did the open space committee have anything else, or did George leave?
No, he's not here, but he's on his way
Donald
out.
has something.
I'll be here anyway, John.
Does he need
Dawn-
anything?
Dawn,
Yes.
yes,
John's here.
yeah.
Well, what do you want? Come on, 9:20, it's done. What can I do for you, Mr. Khan?
Well, there was three parcels of conservation land that you were gonna look at, it was on the agenda that I read,
Yeah, well, we ran a little bit over on this one.
so you're not doing that.
Well,
We
we
don't
are
We don't know
waiting,
where they are.
we are waiting for the 21Es.
Yeah.
We're not doing anything until we see that.
Okay. Well, I'm really here because of the McCarthy Fund,
Okay?
and, we, part of what we have to do is, you have a document, that Lorraine passed out. It's the baseline document and report land management plan. And it's actually a conservation, document. If you look at the last page, you'll see that, all the signatures of the Conservation, Commission are required. So
Tell
it's,
me was handing
it's,
something that was
a
not.
document
I
that
didn't
the
read it, I
Open
only
Space
looked at the
Committee,
amount.
I'm gonna take this mask off while I talk.
You didn't look at it.
We need to sign this?
No, no,
You need to sign it when it's complete.
Okay.
If you look at the table of contents, it tells you all the things that you have to do. In fact, a lot of the things in it, we can't do them until the CRs are done and other things are done. If you go through the document, there are professional requirements, and we were wondering if you could look at it, see if there's anything that the Conservation Commission could do through your consultants.
So this is something I need to have Beta review.
I'm sorry?
So this is something that we need to have Beta review.
Well,
not necessarily. We have to have certain things done out there. And,
yeah, certain things have to be done.
It's all to do with stewardship.
Like,
Well,
what are these
for
certain
instance,
things?
survey stakes have to be put in, and then you have to go out and take photographs of the survey stakes and so forth.
Who's putting the survey stakes in?
Well, we're going to have a surveyor do it.
Okay, you should probably have to put bounds in, but,
Yep, bounds.
Bounds.
yeah, because the stakes are gonna get ripped out.
But anyway, so essentially we want you guys to look it over. If there's something that you can add, contribute to it,
Okay.
we'd like you to let us know that and do it. And eventually, as you can see, you guys are gonna have to sign it.
So Lorraine's got the lead on this. She's the-
Stewardship is an ongoing thing. We have to, every year, we have to go out and go over the property, see if there's any trees that need to be, whatever, if there's any damage, storm damage, in other words, you
Oh,
have to.
Is George Anderson on this committee?
He's on the Open Space Committee.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's also taking care of, no, it's.
Somebody's
But he
supposed
takes
to-
care of the
This
town.
is up to the
Actually, Lorraine, that's
conservation.
All right,
Wildlands
all
Trust.
right, but
Wildlands
he
Trust, you
has-
guys will own the
he
property,
does that.
Wildlands Trust
Yeah.
will go out and,
Do that
do
work.
surveys for you. yes.
And they
Annually or
and they fund
biannually.
that.
They do.
Right.
Who does
That's- I was gonna say,
I
I
don't
don't
know
know
if
Yeah,
they-
Wildlands
well, I don't know
Trust
if
is-
they fund it. I don't
we
know
don't
if
have
they
a
fund
funding
it.
source for this, so I would assume.
And so for Beta,
That's why
if you
Wildlands
maybe at
Trust
some
is-
point can get Beta out there in the spring to look for vernal pools and
Yeah.
whatnot,
That's fine.
so we can fill out this,
Yeah,
management plan.
Michael's right about that, if you can see anything else besides the vernal pools and
Might
that
be
type
rare
of stuff.
plants out there or something,
I mean, we could certainly have Beta walk the property. That's that's not an issue, and we would obviously
And
cover
the other
that.
thing Donna wanted
Yeah.
to do was set up a day if you guys all wanted to go out and look at
Yep,
the farm.
the, part of it is a site visit, and, I wanna do a preliminary site, visit, so I'm gonna call the real estate agent, who's in charge for the McCarthy family, and I'll tell Lorraine what time, what day we're doing it, and if you'd like to come along on the site visit.
Are you gonna have it surveyed before then?
No, it probably won't be surveyed before the initial
Well,
site visit.
It's,
Well, it can't be surveyed
Is it
until
somewhat
the
marked
original
out?
developer, surveyed it, we
Yeah,
have that
develop
plan,
property.
we don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
technically if the town can use it at this point, Doug's gonna, the town administrator's looking into it.
But we roughly know where the bounds
We
are.
exactly know where they are on a plan that we have, yeah.
What about on site though? You know what I mean?
On site, no.
Cause
If
before I
they put
send
them over
Beta up there, I
GPS,
would
you
need
can
to see
do
Yeah.
property lines and some
Yeah, and
sort.
since Lorraine's, your agent to us,
liaison.
we'll do everything through Lorraine.
Lorraine's getting another promotion tonight too that she doesn't know about.
Chairman?
I don't think I can
Unless she wants
handle
to.
it.
Are you
Oh,
taking-
yeah,
taking
you
your
would
own
shut
deci-
things down
suggestion
fast.
of retiring?
Community Preservation
Oh, good.
Board,
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
know
really?
about this? We're supposed to appoint a member.
CPA, I thought Charlene was
Oh,
on
C-
CPA.
I can't drive at night.
CPA.
Oh.
Is it CPA?
I guess.
Yes.
CPA.
Community
Well,
Preservation
CPA,
Act.
it's CPC actually is the
Yeah.
commission.
How many committees can you be on before you
Before you
you
die.
Flame out.
before it's conflict of interest?
Hey, we don't wanna lose
No.
Lorraine,
Yeah.
she's terrific.
No, what you are, on that, you are a representative of this
Yeah.
board, so it's not a conflict. But it's because of the fact that one of the things is the open space
Mhm.
for recreation and everything, so.
It's just another thing for you to do.
It all kind of
Conservation, open space,
goes
CPA, they all are in.
Yes.
the
So
same,
then
it's-
it's the same
intertwined.
thing.
A perfect fit for you,
Same
that's the
thing.
reason.
When, I shouldn't say this, but she'll be voting for proposals that perhaps we bring in if she's on the CPA.
Yeah, what about that?
Don't go ahead.
The only thing you vote on is that it comes under the guidelines of the CPC. Cause there are rules that you have to follow with that too.
Yeah, but if I'm,
But if
if
you're
I'm
on that
on
one,
it, yeah.
You know,
well, yeah, that's the
well,
first
yeah,
thing.
but
that-
Charlene, you might like this.
Well, I
She
haven't,
was-
I
she
can't drive
was-
at night.
She was our, yeah,
Cause
you can't drive at night anymore.
until we get back into daylight savings
All
time.
right.
It's although the meeting's at 6 o'clock, which is not bad.
It would be now.
Yeah, but now, 4:30, forget about it.
You guys want a promotion?
I wouldn't mind if I had an inch of time, a second of time, if I weren't going totally crazy because I have no time. I'd love to, but
Somebody's
I
getting a
can't.
promotion tonight.
I can't.
Give it to Ron. That's how I got on it. I didn't volunteer, you know.
Oh, was it?
What does it entail, just other meetings, additional meetings?
Huh?
Additional meetings?
Well, like, see, they're having their thing, Thursday, their annual meeting, the one that they throw open to the public so that everybody can go and find out what it is that they're doing.
Oh, that's Thursday?
Just Thursday, yeah.
16th.
2 days from
CPA's having an annual meeting on the 16th.
Anyway, the reason I was asking
I
about
had
George
something
is
in my head and it went totally.
Well, I mean,
There's a lot of that going around.
You're going on another bullet.
we need to, yeah, we need to pick somebody. I've been freaking emailed about this 4 or 5 times now.
I know, I was told by either Joe or Pete, I can't remember which one they are, but I met them at those 2 meetings that we went to. And he says, yeah, Derek wants to know if you're still gonna be on the board. I went, uh-oh. Fine,
Well,
get me a cab driver.
Can
and
I
I'll
have
go.
a few days to think it over? I mean,
We can, tentatively appoint Lorraine to that position,
tentatively.
and if she doesn't want it by the time our next meeting comes, we'll put somebody else.
Okay,
Fair enough.
maybe Ron will do it.
You know, it's one of those rare positions where you're in a seat that gives away money.
Yeah.
But it's,
That's
I mean,
what is
it's
a
not a big
requisition.
obligation, right? I don't even really know what the hell it is, but it's not a big obligation, right?
But there's petitions that come in and you decide which of those should go forth to town meeting.
Yeah.
And how much money
Oh, is that what it
they
is?
should be funded
Yeah.
for.
So it's kinda heavily weighted in
They-
January,
that's not
February.
good for me, cause I'd be wanting to buy up all the wetlands. Putting them all in
Yeah,
open
but you got
space.
historical and housing, I think,
Yeah.
part of it too,
Yeah.
right, so.
And then there's miscellaneous.
Yeah.
Miscellaneous. Now, I just remembered what I was gonna say.
Oh, good. That was pretty good.
It's short.
Are you guys all set?
No, wait, no, Dawn wanted
I was gonna wait then.
to talk about this on-site visit, and that, you know, I'm naturally gonna do my best to go on it, but that other members of this board hopefully will
I'd like to see it,
go
yeah.
on this and see the
Yeah.
property and look at it.
We were trying to pick a good day. The environmental report was very good. They didn't find any contamination, but they did find a lot of safety concerns. Dilapidated buildings, barbed wire and other things all over the ground. I got a tick the 30th of November, not there, I think in my backyard, so, and when we were there in the summertime, there were swarms of mosquitoes. So if you go, just, you know,
Dress
you
properly.
dress properly
Wear good
and
shoes.
Giraffe ticks.
You're not gonna go, are you gonna go over the winter? There won't be any mosquitoes?
Well, there won't be any mosquitoes, I'm just telling you,
It'll be ticks though.
yeah, it's possible
ticks,
ticks, and it's
Long
possible
pants, long
of
shirt.
tripping on
That's
barbed
also a
wire.
good time to see
Yeah.
everything, cause then you don't have leaves in your way and
Yeah,
all that, so you
exactly.
really can see,
And you won't
A
get
lot.
lost.
yeah.
You wanna bet?
And it probably won't be
And-
muddy if
and,
there's, if
you
there's
know,
wet areas.
where you hiking stuff.
Alright.
Cool.
So you'll let the board know? Is that happening before January
I'm
11th?
gonna call him this week and see what's good for him, and it would probably be absolutely be in the daytime. And I'm gonna try to get it so everybody can
I
come.
hope it's in the daytime. I'm not going out there at night. Are you nuts?
Sometimes I open the mouth and I don't know what's gonna
Attacked
come.
by a freaking bear or some shit.
I was,
And after Christmas, not before Christmas.
I'll try to do it after Christmas. I was
Okay, yeah.
thought of next week, but,
So Lorraine will let us know, right?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
okay, that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything.
Thanks, Dawn.
We can do the night one later.
Build a campfire.
We all set?
Yeah.
The reason we
Please.
asked about George Anderson is because of
Motion
the
to
work he
adjourn the
does
meeting?
on the town forest to
we do
maintain
that?
it,
We
so
all
he
set?
could tell us
Made a
how to,
motion.
how to do
Yes,
those
but,
things, you know?
Wildlands Trust is gonna be, overseeing it, so, they'll be,
They'll be telling us.
every year that has,
Yeah.
we have to, a
Meetings?
report has to be.
Somebody made a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Oh, second. All in favor?
Thank you.